Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the EAL. We are here for finals week. I'm joined by Igni. Say hello to the stream.
Hello, people. I'm hyped for this final battle. I'm hyped for this final series.
And I'm hyped for the final bout of Group A. Look, I mean, people have been saying Group A is a pretty strong group. I don't know if you've got the results up on production. I know everything's exploding over there. Obviously not their fault. But yeah, it's already blown up. Well, if you have a look at the hashtag results channel, you can have a look. It's been a pretty big Group A dominance this entire playoffs run. And now the top two ranked teams from Group A who face each other in the final week of regular season are up against each other. It's Lost Nation, obviously. We saw Lost Nation last week. Harrowing series. Came out on top. Earned their spot in this final. Fish and Chips putting in a masterful performance. Whereas we've got a team that I haven't had the chance to watch anywhere near as much, but obviously it's been very, very strong, and I managed to catch them. Invicta, new entrants, well, more new than Lost Nation are, certainly, to the EAL. And it's going to be really interesting seeing how these two teams match up. We've got a couple of results coming in from their regular season. Have a look at the last time they matched up against each other. Chips got 13 kills and 1 death. Their mid laner, who is not Mimi Sign, was a different account back then, got 12 kills and 1 death. So when we look at this game, you've got to keep your eye on this top side, right?
I mean, indeed. And this is just a general theme that we've seen with Lost Nation and then with Invicta. They have different philosophies, be it in drafting and be it playing the game. We know Fish and Chips, one of the strongest duos we've seen so far, with a mid laner who even enables this kind of playstyle by playing these roaming picks, by playing this lane priority, like by playing control mages to get that lane priority, to give Chips the freedom to help Fish and vice versa. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Invicta, who are a very bot lane oriented comp, with what we've seen from their past performances and the way they approach the game. So it will be interesting to see if they're gonna opt in to that more passive and more scaling team fight comp that we've seen in the playoffs, or if they go in for a more top lane and more aggressive oriented comp position with one of the signatures picks from their top laners, which is Cannon, who received the buff this patch again.
Well, I mean, I've seen Fish eat little yordles like that alive. I'm not sure you want to pick something squished. It's going to be really interesting to see how, of course, Invicta look to contain this top lane. I just want to correct you on one thing you said previously. Fish and Chips are maybe the best duo lane, best 2-man core we've seen in the EAL. I disagree. They are undoubtedly the best 2-man core we've seen in the EAL this season, maybe of all time. These guys are such veterans, have such history behind them. And I do think if you are Invicta here, you have to look to punch through that bot lane, right? We talked about the strength of their AD carry, of their support, right? It's going to be it's always a challenge, I think, to go up against Lost Nation to break through this bot lane, right? Play Massive and Corwell. Corwell's a little bit of an unsung hero of Lost Nation, I feel. Play Massive, obviously, always on these supportive characters, right? The Pokash build, the Seraphines, the Brands. You never see them on an actual AD carry. It's something you'd think that these teams would be able to abuse, but Lost Nation just know how to play their style so well and have all the damage they need through the top side, especially in this meta. But I think if Invicta do want to come out on top, they really, really need to punish that bot side. We haven't really seen bot lane get continuously dived. We haven't seen bot lane get continuously blitz hooked off cooldown, right? It's just not something that's happened to Play Massive and to Corwell. So, heading into this game, I want to ask, do you think Invicta are going to be able to do that? And what are your predictions for the series?
Well, the prediction of this series is just going to come down like who can play their strengths better and who's going to have less mistakes in their overall play, since they're both very strong teams. But as we've seen in the playoffs, everybody does mistakes, and sometimes these mistakes cost you the game. So heading into this series, it's going to be interesting to see which philosophy or which surprises the teams will bring to throw off the enemy. in the beginning.
So if I was going to ask you to condense what you said into two numbers, perhaps a score, one could say, in this best of 5 series. You know, I'll go first. I'll put everything out, life and limb, on the line, on stream. I'm not afraid to do it. I call it 3-0 for Lost Nation. I know they went 3-1 versus Cosmic Transcendence. I realized I was going to say 3-1, but I realized I'm not a coward. I think Lost Nation have proven their resilience, have proven just absolute mastery over this top side. And as long as Play Master, as long as Corval respects the enemy bot lane, as long as they ban Kindred, because that's Raw the AL, enemy team champion in name, ban that champion. I really, really think Lost Nation had the potential to sweep out Invicta. How about yourself?
I would honestly look forward to a 3-1 win, a 3-1 or a 3-2 win for Lost Nation, since I think that Invicta has the resources and Invicta has the flexibility to throw in some nasty team compositions, which are gonna really, really punish LN's roster.
Yeah, I mean, they've been very flexible, right? Every time Raz the Kindred has gotten Kindred, multiple kills. Willing to play that Enchanted mid lane style as well, right? Karma Kindred, absolutely disgusting combo. Willing to pull it out. Actually, Burger Slayer, pretty comfortable on that Karma. I think it's something that Mimi Slime, maybe a style that Mimi Slime will struggle into, right? Has had some issues. Alright, I'm trying to remember some of the previous matches. I think Mimi Slime, obviously a very, very valuable player, hasn't really been the standout for Lost Nation, has sort of just quietly scaled up in lane. So if, you know, Burger King Slayer can use these enchanters and their early dueling potential, these 2v2s, right, to invade, to force chips onto the back foot in this jungle, I think there's still very much hope for them to play out through these games. But I think a lot of this will come down to draft, as it always does in League of Legends.
Indeed.
I'm not. It all depends on whether Invicta are able to secure, I think, a winning mid jungle matchup as well as a bot lane that can get scrappy.
I mean, yes, and as we've seen in the CTR and LN series, when CTR won the bot lane and didn't go even, they won the game. So looking at that, I think the winning factor in these games will be the bot lane. That's going to be a heavy focus. Yeah, it's going to be a heavy focus. So,
well, we are just going to be getting into draft. Apologies to interrupt you. Fans coming through here. I expect to see maybe 3 top lane bans towards Fish. I mean, you can ban. I kind of expect it, but also I kind of don't expect it because it's like you ban out 3 of his champions. He's still got another 5 in his back pocket. Instead, they're looking to focus down towards bot lane, taking Seraphine off the board. Meanwhile, Echo taken out, flexible between jungle and mid, but I expect that would have been going towards Raz the Kindred. Kog'Maw taken off the board.
I mean, that's a very standard ban against Invicta, and the Seraphine ban is just forcing Massive to get out of his comfort zone.
There we go. There's the Kindred taken out. Lost Nation have passed the first hurdle in winning a game. Fish Tolls, Aatrox off the board. Absolutely disgusting in every single game I see of it. First pick, Rell coming through for Lost Nation. Corwell, monstrous on this champion. Can also be flexed into the jungle, but I expect to see this go down to the support. Every time I see Corwell, this champ's called the Int Horse. I think Corwell does the absolute opposite of it. Maybe actually one of the most technical Rell players I've seen in the EAL. However, response might be Jarvan coming out here.
I mean, there's no big surprises here. Rell is one of the most contested picks in this patch, and even between these two teams, with Corvo playing Rell and Invicta support also playing Rell extensively. So it would be interesting to see if Invicta is going to prioritize the Rell in like when they get blue side, but it's honestly Rell is going to be a first pick in each of these games.
Yeah,
that's what I
so
predict.
we see Karma picked up here for Invicta. That's going to be heading towards the mid lane, most likely. Taliyah, the response to Jarvan, pretty good into the champion. Could deny any sort of those engages with that Unraveled Earth,
Indeed,
right?
indeed.
On the engage.
Yes, and if Taliyah has been played mid lane, you have this roaming edge with the semi-global Taliyah, where you can just turn these fights into a 3v3 or a 4v3, depending on how the Jarvan's going to play. Taliyah is a very supportive mid lane pick that's more focused on helping the jungler achieve his objectives, from my point of view. And
Well,
we see the Rel Zyra combo, as we know.
yeah, this is just absolutely disgusting here for Lost Nation and the bot lane. And it looks like Invicta might have had a plan for it, going for the Caitlyn, not something you see too commonly these days. Have received a couple of buffs over the patches, you know, extra damage on that headshot coming through. But Kate Karma is one of those lanes that can bully out these shorter range carries, or shorter range champions like Rel, like Zyra. If you could just play keep away with Zyra, who really likes it when you're coming into them, being able to poke you out with those Soul Flares, I believe is the name of the Karma Q, with those Piltover Peacemakers coming out from Kate, right? Just the extended auto attack range. Really looking to put the hurt down, maybe even looking for the dives with this Jarvan. I really think this bot lane is going to be a hyper point of contention, even more so than we said in the pre-show.
And the Ashe ban is kind of interesting, seeing how they ban one of the counters or one of the stronger playmakers in the bot lane. Even though Zyra was picked, maybe they were fearing a Zyra Ashe bot lane against Karma Caitlyn.
This is just poor prep, I think, from Invicta. Ashe has been picked up by Lost Nation, but it's only as the poke Ashe variant, right? Ashe is pretty disgusting in that lane, and maybe it's the way that you can get back onto the Kate Karma, but I still think Corval is so strong on this Rel. Has to be going down there. We see Kennen, Syndra taken off the board, 2 comfort champions banned out, Orianna locked in, a different bull coming through. Obviously, Orianna Jarvan, classic combo. Shockwave Cataclysm is almost undodgeable if you stand in range.
Yeah, Invicta just picking up these checkpoints of, we want to have a wombo combo, please. Just going for the shopping list. And we've seen that Orianna is a very nasty pick, a very safe laning, and she's slowly getting more and more popular again. And we see the Graves.
Will not have the shove, I think, Orianna into Taliyah, which is going to be really important in this jungle matchup, right? First of all, Graves, great into Karma Caitlyn. These champions sort of kind of want to lock down an area, right? Stay their ground, stand on their hill. Graves' smokescreen puts a hell of a wrench in those plans if you can get in range to fire it off, of course. But Graves is actually pretty decent into Kate Karma, can also make it harder for the Jarvan to look for those engagers. With pushing mid lane from Taliyah as well, really might be able to bully around Jarvan in this early game. Probably just going to power farm up to 6, but I've seen some Graves do some disgusting stuff, even at the highest levels of play. Camille locked in top blind for Fish. Gangplank taken off the board, Aatrox taken off the board, but Camille is still a very carry champion. Obviously, has not received any buffs recently. It's not even something I think I've seen picked up here by Fish before, but no doubt he'll be able to pilot it proficiently as Renekton is the counter pick.
This is going to be interesting. I think the Camille was picked up to counter any top lane tank ideas that Invicta might would have. And seeing their Renekton picked up, it's going to come down to more of a skill matchup to see if the Camille can survive until she gets her first mythic item. Because Renekton is a lane bully, and as we've seen, if he gets ahead, he can shred. If he doesn't get ahead, he's just a pair of shoes.
Yeah, well, I've seen, looking at these 2 compositions, look, okay, we obviously have to account for the fact this is Lost Nation we're talking about Invicta. Like, I look at any other draft, I look at the Lost Nation draft, I'm like, you guys are sunk. You don't know. You don't even have an AD bloody carry. What is this? Graves bot lane, Taliyah jungle? But no, I think with, knowing specifically everything we know about Lost Nation, they've got a very kite back sort of draft, right? Like, obviously they got Taliyah, they've got Zyra, Graves doesn't like getting poked out all that much. Camille can play dive, but doesn't really have anyone to follow her as easily, which makes things a little bit difficult. Meanwhile, we see a little bit of a split composition coming out here from Invicta. But I think their core of Orianna, Caitlyn, Karma provides so much zone control, doesn't have to engage into Lost Nation, right? Bear in mind, Lost Nation's only real form of like getting a fight started is Rel on this engage, is Corval down the spot, which, I've said that criticism before about a Lost Nation draft, and they've just managed to execute it perfectly. But Invicta, I think, with the Renekton to play bodyguard, with the Jarvan to play bodyguard as well, have all the tools in the world to keep Lost Nation at bay. I'm starting to regret my 3-0. No, I'm just kidding. I don't regret it at all. But in terms of draft advantage, I think I got to give this one to Invicta. I think they have the simpler plan to play out. But we'll have to see if they can execute it on the Rift.
I mean, as you said, Invicta has the easier comp to pull off, but Lost Nation has these small synergies between the champions. The Rel Zyra, which just hits their whole combo, just makes sure that all of the CC and all of the disruption that Zyra brings and all the damage of the plants is focused on these targets which are catched out. We got the Talia that can roam and support the Graves when he's gonna go and invade, since Graves a more invade heavy champion because of his that strong dueling kit. We got the Camille, which can look for dives or could look even for a split push angle, being a very strong duelist at our later stages of the game, which is just supported by the roam potential of the Talia, which is just supported by the way that Fish plays with Chips. So we're gonna see Chips a lot of in the top lane, I'd say, or he's just gonna power farm and support the bot lane. But in Invicta's case, they got very good wave clear. They can poke out the enemy at the objectives. So certainly, I'd say this is a very Invicta favorite game in the draft as well.
I think you talk about these sort of unnatural advantages, right? Like you talk about having to utilize Graves to layer. You talk about having to find those Rel Zyra combos. I think naturally, you don't need to do anything on Invicta to win. You don't need to do anything special. You can just pilot this comp as it's supposed to be piloted.
Yeah,
Lost
you
Nation,
just go in with Jarvan, you lock them down in your Cataclysm, and Orianna just snips her finger, and the whole team is dead.
Yeah, but if there's any team that can find these sort of weird advantages, find these roam timers into the enemy jungle, find these dive timers, maybe even on the Renekton in the top lane, I think it's Lost Nation. But alas, we have spectators to later deal with. We're going to be starting to a quick break before we get into game one of this best of 5. Don't go anywhere. This is it. This is the culmination of EAL for the past couple of months. I can't wait to get started. Hello everyone and welcome on to the Rift for the final series of this EAL. I was going to say final game, I guess it's not the final game. Hopefully we get there at game 5, but for the final series of EAL, it's Lost Nation on blue. Fish, Chips, Mimi Slime, Playmassive and Corwell up against Funkel, Ras the Kindred, Burger King Slayer, Hujini, Sazu, fighting for Invicta as we see Lost Nation here looking for a level 1 invade. There is a stack coming out from Invicta, but it's on the wrong side of the map.
We see this deep ward strategy which CDR tried to use and they got punished for it. Just getting the deep ward, getting the vision out, trying to gouge where this Jarvan is gonna go, and seeing how Jarvan is still on his bot side. It seems like he's gonna full clear up top lane or look for early gank bot. So it's gonna be interesting to see how the jungle is gonna develop.
Well, I mean,
there's
Jarvan
so many
level
ways
2
to play Jarvan. Yes,
is
Jarvan
pretty
level 2.
notorious.
It is, but the level 3 is even better.
I'm very
Because
interested
usually-
here, by the way. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Burger King Slayer has opted for the barrier. I don't know how much I respect that decision. I think when you're playing Jarvan Orianna, right, you want to be making stuff happen around level 6. You can't afford to get pushed in by this Taliyah 24/7 when we said that this Graves can look for the invades, as we're getting, I think, a couple of frame issues, at least on my end.
Seems like there is a bit of a hiccup there, but yes, the Orianna opting for that barrier seems to be that Taliyah and Graves both want to burst down the enemy. Hence, they will try to. Hence, they will. Since if Orianna is gonna survive that initial burst, which that barrier is for, she's gonna have an easier time just dealing with everything. And we see that Jarvan just went straight for his red buff, looking up to do something on the top lane.
Yeah, this is, as we are just experiencing some technical delays here, are setting up for a gank onto this Camille on the top lane. Come have a look, observers, up towards Fish here, who's opted for the Ignite. This is what you normally do as Camille into these more aggressive laners, because it gives you a little bit of a chance to fight back. But Fish, very wisely not stepping forwards, knowing that Ras the Kindred was on that top side, thanks to the invade on the ward, will not end up falling. And bot lane knows they're safe from a dive as well. Meanwhile, Chips gonna get invaded, gonna get visioned on by Raz. They know Graves is in the area, but he will split out the ward as well. Raz still hanging around. Doesn't have Pyro in top lane. It's gonna get collapsed on by Mimi Slime here. Maybe gonna see a 3v3 early on. The flag and drag goes wide. Raz all out of juice. Knockback doesn't connect, but damage is coming through. Fish flashing away from them. Sweep comes out from Camille, ticking down to Ignite. First blood goes over. It's answered back with an auto from Mimi Slime. Burger King Slayer getting run down as well. Does have the flash, does have the barrier. Knocked back, will not save them. Flashing over the wall, will not survive. Both summoners blown for no use.
This is very rough. This is very rough. The double buff onto the Taliyah, just being able to shove this wave in.
It's a disaster.
Burger King Slayer just doing so much. I wouldn't say it's a disaster, since it's gonna put Fish back, but the mid lane is gonna go ahead.
Graves has stolen your Raptors. Graves has stolen the kill on the enemy jungler. Look at the farm differential. Jarvan's got to farm up his bot side. Won't even be able to get towards his Krugs. Meanwhile, second respawn coming in here for Chips, right? That's the risk you take when you go for that red-blue topside gank. You end up losing, or red-blue wolves topside. You end up losing out on this farm. If something does go wrong, if you end up dying, you're just so far behind in tempo to Graves. I think we'll see Chips move to take over this game, especially because they now have the flash advantage as well.
And that is indeed the case. I mean, first kill went over to Jarvan, which is gonna be. I mean, I think he currently has more gold than the Graves, but the Graves does have a EXP advantage. Well, they're pretty even.
Raz, though, is going to look for an invade on bot side here. Going to take away the Krugs. Meanwhile, Chips just hovering on the top side, making sure Fish can crash this wave in. Very, very crucial. Don't want to set this Camille behind any more. Will walk up, see the Krugs not taken as well, which means you know that Raz is on that bot side. Might have even been spotted out by the wave, but Playmassive and Core will have to be so safe here. We can see the power of this Cake Karma combo poking down Playmassive. Really needed to reset earlier. Can't be hanging around the turret when you know Jarvan's on this bot side as well. The second the wave crash, we'll see a dive come through. On the plus side, there are plates being hit here for Mimi Slime, but the dive comes out. Engage first from Corval though. Sazu chunks so low. Teleport coming through here from Mimi Slime. Flash away, ticking down to the Ignite. Sazu will just about survive. In the end, it's a 1-for-0 plus the teleport over to Invicta.
This was very well played by Jarvan. Just looking for that dive with the Caitlyn and Karma combo, which are just designed to shove that wave down if you don't have that wave clear, which Seraphine would have provided.
I mean, Zyra has that wave clear as well. They just so low they couldn't walk up on the wave. They greeded out. They had the teleport, man. I don't know why they didn't just back and teleport in. Anyway, probably seeing something that I am not. Still though, Mimi Slime able to find some plates on the mid lane turret, was able to force back Burger Kingslayer as well. Still gold advantage to Lost Nation here.
I mean, yes, but let's look at the. I mean, if we look at the CS difference between the Zyra and the Caitlyn, yeah, it's not looking good for the bot side of LN.
Oh my lord, this is a lethality variation. I mean, I don't like this. I think when there's triple melee, right, you're not playing up against 3 squishies. You're only playing squishy ready into Playmassive, into Mimi Slime. Fish is going to build out Divine Sunderer, going to get armor boots as well, which is going to be so valuable this game. Chips is opting for that Umbral build rather than the Gore Drinker, so maybe going to have more value there. But I mean, I've seen this Caitlyn build pop up here and there, but I'm not too sure about it.
I mean, it is playing into the fact that a Massive is going to be very squishy and it provides a stronger early game. So seems like that Invicta is looking for these for a quicker end, like they try to end quick with their setup of trying to flipping it at the
Meanwhile,
15-minute mark.
towards this bot lane, we do see level 7 hit here for Mimi Slime. Graves in the area as well, Jarvan close by, but Burger Kingslayer is not going to be in the area at all. Stun comes through, Hugh Ginny. Mimi Slime not quite in range for the wall, root up, but Hugh Ginny is surely toast at this point. Playmassive Coral hitting onto him, meanwhile Chips Mimi Slime playing bodyguard. Coral will get the flip, stun comes through, Hugh Ginny will fall to the plants, meanwhile Mimi Slime and Chips in a bit of trouble. Finally, Burger Kingslayer in the area, Shockwave connects, picks up Talia. Chips running for the hills, double root there, flash away, Chips so low, Korva will be the sacrifice. In the end, it's a 2-for-1 on the bot lane play, couldn't get it going fast enough and Burger Kingslayer was able to match.
And here we see one of the key differences of why AP mages are so bad in these early fights. They have no damage, they have no cooldowns to contribute anything other than an initial kind of burst.
I think the issue was that they tried to play bodyguard on Raz the Kindred for too long and on Sazu. I don't think they expected how long it would take Playmassive and Corwell to finish out this fight. They just didn't have the sustained DPS of an AD champion. So Playmassive has got their Lost Chapter now. Lost Chapter complete for both mages on the team. Flash forced out by Burger Kingslayer. I don't want to say someone's playing scared, but you've gone Flash Barrier. You're flashing the instant the jungler shows up in your lane when you haven't even been close to hitting by CC. But that safety might be just what is needed to prevent this Lost Nation snowball into the mid game.
I mean, yeah, but we're seeing Fish just having a comfortable lead, while Houdini is just free farming.
Very true, very true. Speaking of free farming, there might be a free kill coming through here. Root goes up. Ult is available, not available for Playmassive actually, but the damage is there anyway. Eugenie cannot be standing there on your own. Mid laner had roamed to help out. Does allow an assist onto Mimi Slime in that mid lane, but Eugenie just gave over another kill over to Playmassive.
And that just helps.
Meanwhile, we see a fight around this tower. Sorry to interrupt you. Caught up in that Hextech ultimatum, the shield coming out, leg sweep not quite wide enough, the ignite will be enough to finish off that job. Flish flashing away, dashing in, autos blocked by Funkel. In the end, it's a 1-for-1. Fish gonna be taken down soon as well. Corwell here just that little bit too late, trying to make that double play. I don't think you're allowed to do that, so illegal. In the end, Lost Nation end up losing 3 on the top side of the map. They made the play in the bot lane, you knew that Sazu was up there. It just feels like a hell of an overforce.
I'm a bit of a loss of words. It was a very close fight. I mean, Funkel perfectly blocked the damage from the Graves, which would have killed Raz. Just saving that fight, since if Raz would have died, then this fight would have been in favor of LN, with the Graves damage just spiking. But seeing how LN is misplaying these small fights and a little bit of luck
It's
also
not
playing
even-
into favor.
I don't even know if it's the fight. It feels like they're just behind on the macro, right? They don't respect where enemy players can be, right? Like every single fight they've lost, they've taken at a numbers disadvantage, right? The bot lane fight was kind of at a numbers disadvantage, definitely a health disadvantage. The fight around this Herald, numbers disadvantage. Once again, Corval didn't get there until the fight was already over, and now Chips might get caught out, not respecting the roam from Funko. Will manage to make their way over the wall. I do think Lost Nation still have a lot going on. They do actually manage to find a shutdown on the dive there from Mimi Slime, who will end up going 1-for-1 for it,
Bolo.
which is totally
Just
fine.
being
I think.
traded. Yeah, it's just being traded. But I think the issue with the bot lane fight was that they lacked damage to finish off Houdini and then turn back and fight the oncoming members of Invicta, since Houdini was fighting 2v1 and nearly even killing Koval, while Massive was just keeping Mimi Slime and Chips fighting against 3 members of Invicta, which turned the fight in the
You
bot
see
lane.
here
into
Chips
Invicta
getting
favor.
sniped out, Corval trying their best to play
Yes.
bodyguard duty. Houdini is so much faster on the smooth. Mimi Slime in the area, but so is Orianna. Massive ult from Corval. That's the combo you talk about, baby! Double kill over to Mimi Slime, and just like that, the bot lane from Invicta vanishes.
This is so nasty. This combo is just something like
I think it's also, it's just like, that was, that time it was Invicta not respecting numbers of much. No Burger King service in the area, but Raz the Kindred I don't think was nearby. Wasn't looking to contest, and just getting one tapped out by the huge ults coming out from Lost Nation. Just a lack of respect.
It's certainly that, and they didn't play around the ultimates of Brel and Zyra.
They didn't play
Since-
around their own range. especially.
Indeed. They I think they were a bit greedy, seeing that low life bar of Chips, and that comes back down to the point which I said at the beginning, that this series is gonna be decided by the one who deals less mistakes, be it in the micro and the macro.
Maybe. I mean, as I said, I've still seen some miracles come out from both of these teams in the past. Fish looking to try and find a solo kill. I'd say I've seen some miracles from Fish. That was an unholy amount of damage on that Q2.
And he doesn't even have a Mythic yet.
But we do see towards the bot lane a dive coming through here on the Heralds. Never mind, just going to be charging out. Still has to be careful though. Burger King's there in the area, 4 members. Meanwhile, Fish on the top side looking for something onto Funkel. Turret destroyed. Renekton pops that Dominus. Fish just going to walk away. Chips though, maybe looking for something here. Mimi Slime managing to take off 4 plates on that turret on their own, right? Orianna's suffering quite heavily against the Kindred in the early game. Dash goes right from Raz the Kindred, forced to flash away, but there's the Cataclysm back in. Snipe comes through onto nobody, shut down over to Mimi Slime. Corval gonna play bodyguard duty for Chips. Sazu, Burger King's there with no mana, caught out, taken down. Overcommits in the jungle, and Fish is here to finish it up. Sazu trying to run for the hills, but there is no escape from the Hextech ultimatum. Mimi Slime not able to catch that stun onto Houdini, but the flash is blown. The fight is won. It's a 3-0 to Lost Nation.
I would need to look back at this team fight to truly understand what went wrong here, since Invicta had a nice engage onto, I think it was Chips.
I think the issue was Jarvan got stunned up on their engage, right? Because you get stunned up at the end of your dash, I think, is there. It dodges the unstoppable, I'm pretty sure, of that Cataclysm from Raz the Kindred.
Yeah, I
Blew
think
their
that's
flag
what
and drag,
happened.
and then Cataclysmed it in. Right, I think they maybe knew they were there at that point, look for a half-hearted engage. Burger King's there didn't land the shockwave combo on top of it. Meanwhile, on the bot lane, Eugenie getting run down by Chips as well. Stops
mean,
the auto the ward, still gonna pick up the kill.
I mean, Hujini did the same mistake as he did back there, like just not respecting and pushing out, just over.
Sorry, I just saw on the
overstaying.
replay on the stream itself. Just Chips turning around to alter the ward. It's so good. Anyway, in the top lane, Fish fighting onto Funkel. This isn't a 2v1 you can take anymore. Dodging out, not fighting the flagging drag. The third member here, though, might be enough. Flash away by Funkel. Fish in the middle of 3. Caught up River without a paddle. Burst down the shield. Not going to be enough to save their life.
And here we see this ultimate combo of Jarvan and Orianna, just even in between while Jarvan is using his Cataclysm, Orianna can shoot her ult out to even catch more members in it in case there's more than one. I mean, kind of a waste to use it only onto one member, but I think they wanted to make sure that Fish is not getting out.
I mean, they kind of looked a little bit close to turning it. Chips now looking for something onto Funkel. That Eclipse damage is nasty. End of the line. Picks up the kill.
And
Teleport now coming in behind as well.
Yes.
Mimi Slime in the mid lane. If we can look. Oh, never mind, it's Fish. Teleporting onto Sarzu. The root dodged up, taken down. Fish with the kill. Hujini, not long for this world either. Just a constant overpush by this Kate Karma. Ends up getting caught again. You don't want... This is not the sort of bot lane you want to see with 9 deaths. Chips gonna find another one onto Raz the Kindred in their own jungle. And yeah, you might have been able to shut down Fish in the top lane, but the rest of the team is more than picking up the slack.
This is just massive. Lost Nations fighting these small fights all around the map, all around the same time.
No. Shockwave forced out. Fish not gonna get stunned up. Funkel failing to dive over the wall, gonna save their life. Almost overforced. Anyway, back to your point.
But yeah, like as we've seen now, like in a span of 2 minutes, there were like 3 fights happening at nearly the same time. The mid lane with Mini Slime and Fish, or the top lane catch from Funkel, Raz, and Burger King.
Nice try, call. Fish actually getting chunked out there is really crucial, but Chips on the flank. Half health on Burger King Slayer already, but stunned up, burst down. Chips running for their life, gonna be able to buy some time. Tark goes down in the mid lane. Chips still ending up falling as a 700 gold shutdown over to Raz the Kindred.
I mean, with the objective bounty now, that was a very big misplay from Chips right there, being caught out and just hiding away from his team.
Oh my lord, Mimi Slime picking up the double kill. Jarvan stunned up, doesn't know what Talia does. Corval here as well. Cataclysm comes through, knocked away, shutdown goes over. Meanwhile, Raz will fall. Corval will be falling back, but Fish is here to clean this up. Hextech Ultimatum doesn't dodge the root. Damage from Renekton still decent. Dominus chipping away, tearing away. Q2 Precision Protocol precisely picks up the Kroxazu. Enhance the root, but that hook shot surely available shortly. Dives forwards, can't quite get the auto, can't quite get the slow, but Play Massive is here to secure the kill. The root, the binding, the unofficial ace for Lost Nation.
Very... Lost Nation is just at this point where the individual power spikes of each of their champion is just a force to be reckoned with. As we see just 2 of their members nearly acing them instantly.
And that's the issue with Wombo combo, I think, to a certain extent. Once you Wombo your combo, you're all out of juice. Right, once you've blown this Cataclysm, once you've blown these this headshot, once you've blown this shockwave, it becomes so much harder to play out these fights, especially if you're going something like Lethality Caitlyn.
Yeah, and Invicta needs to look for these team fights where their Wombo combo just kills most of LN's members, since everyone in LN packs a punch, a very hefty one at that.
Indeed, indeed. If we can have a quick look at the gold difference between these two teams. I do want to point out, it's a 4,000 gold lead to Lost Nation, and a 1.5k gold lead in the jungle to Raz the Kindred. That's a 1.5k gold lead on a Jarvan who's already brought their Shojins, which means that gold lead doesn't mean much anymore. Meanwhile, Mimi Slime, Fish, hell, Play Massive in this bot lane, right? Massive kudos to the guy. Have been able to build this lead up for themselves on their scaling characters, and I think, yeah, despite Raz the Kindred picking up a couple of these kills early, doing what he needs to do on Jarvan, not being able to influence this bot lane, a couple of failed plays, giving kills to the Jarvan at the expense of Hujini and Sarzu. Kate and Karma behind are just absolutely miserable. I think Lost Nation are in a prime position to close this one out.
I mean, yes, we just see that if you pick something like Caitlyn Karma, your goal is pretty much to get the enemy laners behind, use this advantage and use this pressure that you generate for the jungler to just go in and dive and dive and dive and dive again. And we didn't see that. We didn't see that much, sadly. I mean, we've seen a lot of fights. We've seen some.
Oh no.
Oh.
Burger King's that ult tickled, man. That ult did nothing. The Q2 dealt like 5 times its damage, forcing out the flash and barrier as well. Burger King Slayer will not tick down Static Knight. Meanwhile, Lost Nation on the opposite side of the map with the teleport advantage
Are
for
just
Camille.
gonna play, yeah.
Raz just look for a
just-
steal. Has to just look for a steal here.
I mean,
4,000
he
life.
does.
1.5k going over the wall. Will not secure it. Will end up falling. Mimi Slime, 8-4-3. Massive on this team. Meanwhile, Fish just chipping away at this bot lane tier 2. Without those summoners, Burger King Slayer cannot walk up. It's just demolishment across the map. And I think this speaks to how much Lost Nation have leveled up during this playoffs, right? They were a scary team in regular season. These guys, we've seen what they did to Cosmic Transcendence, right? We've seen how they can even come back in these games where they're behind. And we've seen how they've made the match with their second seed from their group not even look close. 7,000 gold lead at this point. Almost 8,000 at the 20-minute mark. Inhibitors getting knocked off, getting knocked down turrets-wise. Pushing all 3 lanes. The Baron, it just feels like they choked them out.
I mean, yeah, it's a slow death for Invicta, which could even explode in a massive team fight. But seems like LN needed that certain time to get warmed up, since their macro now is much cleaner than it was before.
Chips. Even the most fed member on Invicta scared to go up against the Graves God himself.
I mean,
That's,
if we look
oh, that's not good. When you play Lethality Caitlyn and your enemy walks away with that much health after your second item, that feels really bad.
yeah, I mean, you cannot do anything against it. Like you're lethality, you want them to step into your trap and then you headshot them and then you
Just
pray.
choked
That's
out.
nice.
Oh my lord. Mimi Slime, without even hitting that shove back, chunks out with obviously the help of Chip Sazu to minimal health.
This is such. I mean, that's the strength of. I mean, I think it's Electrocute. Yeah, like the Electrocute's helping a lot. Helping Mimi Slime very much with this burst.
Do you know what else is helping? I think the 3 completed items to the 1 from Sazu.
Don't look at the items. Don't look.
Oh, I can't take my eyes off them, baby. It's coming into the force soon. I think
I mean,
it's halfway
how
done.
much-
Halfway done to their Seraphs, right? They got
How
needlessly large rush.
much? Yes, but like, how much do they have? Like, how much AP do they have? Like, I want to.
They got a 5,000 bloody gold lead, is what they got.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I want to know how much.
600 AP. Meanwhile, 4 members here trying to collapse onto Fish. I think Lost Nation went for the Baron and forgot that they've still got to up themselves.
I mean, yeah, but now they split open the map. I mean, it would have been nicer if they had one member in the mid lane just applying pressure on every of these 3 towers.
Meanwhile, Chips has just gone back to farming his jungle. This guy,
Yeah,
I mean, he's got like a 60 CS lead. Meanwhile, top lane though, Engage comes down onto Corval, able to jump out. Raz the Kindred, not tanky enough with this more squishy build, almost gets 1 shot on the burst. They're just losing everywhere, man.
I mean,
Like
yes,
all across
yes.
the map. Like I respect the Engage, but you saw the Cataclysm Shockwave combo maybe mistimed, just didn't work out. And now Lost Nation, even with that Baron buff, sieging onto this mid lane tier 3 turret. Fish, they're trying to Doinby Rise CS hack. They're taking every single jungle monster off the map. They're choking out anything that Invicta could do.
Invictus.
Excuse me?
What?
I think that was
okay
that was
there?
well. I mean, we saw how much damage Mimi Slime dealt without hitting.
I mean, yeah,
the knockback.
but like, Sarzu, are you okay?
No,
Are you okay?
I know we've got some Sazu supporters in chat. I feel like that's that's not a very good thing to see. I mean,
This
still,
is
luckily,
like-
it
this
is
is
still.
like-
We are still in game 1 of a best of 5, right? That is the one
I mean,
hope you
yes.
hold on to here if you are Invicta. Nice shockwave as well, but the damage just isn't quite there. This team comp, these wombo combo comps rely on having enough damage to burst out the enemy. Dive coming through chips. There's the Cataclysm. Oh my god, the counter engage from Corwell is huge. Will end up falling. Weren't able to find more than Raz the Kindred. In the end, it's a 1-for-1, but Fish unafraid to surge forward, stunned up, not... Actually, yes, under turret, the strangling Thorns though is just too much. The damage is too much. Lost Nation had this game in the bag from minute 10, right? After they got over that little early game hump, after they shut Hugini out the game, and after Chips and Fish finally came online, Invicta have just been dominated in this series. Burst comes through, Mimi Slime, one more for the road, 12, 4, and 3. Monstrous performance into the barrier flash from Burger King Slayer. In the end, the Nexus will fall, and Lost Nation will bring us to game 1 advantage.
The Taliyah just massively influencing the way the game goes. It's a bit to take in, especially after a game like this. Just taking a step back, just looking at what happened, even seeing how Invicta managed to create these imbalances. Like, they managed to play around the bot lane, but with the small mistakes from Houdini, just being overextended, being caught. Houdini, sorry, being caught out like 3 or 4 times. That's not something you want to do on the carry of the team. And with the rather a passive build of the, well, not passive build, but the very gold hungry build of going armor pen,
Yeah,
or lethality, or how it's now
the
called.
build that requires the enemy to not snowball.
Indeed, it's the build that requires you to snowball, and that certainly didn't happen. But yeah, Fish got ahead, as it was to be expected.
Shocker. Even in the blind pick Camille into Renekton counter pick.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Well, I believe we're going to be heading into just a couple of minutes break. But before we do, what would you like to see Invicta change up heading into this next game in order to come out on top? Anything in draft? Do you think they can stick with the same draft, or do you think they need to, maybe try and pick something other than this Kate Karma bot lane?
I mean, honestly, I would like to see, honestly, they should focus more on banning out the mid and top laner. I mean, putting more resources into that bot lane with the free targeted ban. I think it was 2 targeted bans onto Massive, who just showed on his Zyra that he doesn't need his Seraphine, he doesn't need Ashe, he just needs Zyra and that one Rell combo. So I think banning out the Rell, banning the Taliyah would be a step forward to dampening a bit the snowball potential of Ellen.
I think it will be. I think though we're going to be heading into a quick break. Don't go anywhere in this first game. Best of 5. Lost Nation come away with the win, but Invicta still have it all to play for. We'll catch you just after the break. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the AL Grand Finals Match 2. We saw in the previous game, Lost Nation took a decisive victory up against Invicta, and mostly by playing through this mid lane and denying any sort of advantage out of the Kate Karma bot lane for Invicta in that game.
I mean, I can't agree more. And as we've seen, LN just played out their strengths perfectly, looking for these 2v2s, for these 3v3s, looking for these small fights that are happening where the team fight advantage from Invicta is just nullified, since they need at least 3 or 4 members to be effective, while LN just needs 2.
Yeah, and I mean it's not like Invicta weren't getting anything done early though, right? They found a couple of picks in that bot lane. I felt like the gold ended up going to the wrong place, right? And that's maybe an easy criticism to make. It's obviously easier to get the gold on the Jarvan than Caitlyn early game, but not having, not like making a successful dive happen in the bot lane, not able to just get a gold lead down there even, right? Eugenie just kept on dying on repeat despite getting like a 15 CS lead. It didn't mean anything going into the mid game.
It was like more of a 20-30 gold lead.
Yeah, it's just, even in the top lane, right, the counter pick Renekton on R5 didn't do enough to punish Camille on that play. Now, I don't know.
Didn't do anything.
I don't know if that's because the champion wasn't piloted properly, or maybe it's just because they weren't able to find anything more onto Fish because he was so proactive in the lane, right? And Renekton just helped them make their way through. If it had been like a tank or something, it would have been much worse. But either way, especially with stuff like Houdini getting caught out in the mid game as a low mobility character like Caitlyn, right? Very, very unsafe. Got caught out a bunch of times for no reason. I think that's the primary mistake you need to clean up if you're Invicta, right? Get this bot lane into the mid game on even terms, because you're not going to like if the game lane goes quote unquote evenly, you're still going to come out ahead of Play Massive, right? Just by virtue of his style of play and his champion pool. So getting to that mid game with that equal bot lane, it's really, really important, and not getting picked off.
I mean, looking at how LN wants to play it, is playing. I think the way forward for Invicta would be more of equalizing the mid and top lane, trying to keep these two carries under control while trying to win through the bot lane. It worked well for CTR. Mm-hmm. It certainly could work well for Invicta as well, but
the issue I see,
don't know what they prepared.
I mean, I kind of agree with you, but also I see an issue where Invicta. Now, I don't want to disrespect you too much, but Burger King Slayer did take Flash Barrier into a Taliyah lane as a long-range poke mage, and still ended up dying many times, ended up giving up so much gold. I think forced back a couple of times. Maybe you even have to look towards something like the Cassante or something like the Sion that can neutralize these lanes a little bit in the early game, right? Not get poked out quite as much. You go for that Doran shield, you go for that second wind. Just try and survive your way through to that mid game, because not heading into that sort of 20-minute mark on even footing just seems like it spells doom for any team up against Lost Nation. Anyway, we should be heading into draft very, very shortly, I believe. We see here Lost Nation readying up Invicta. I think maybe just a couple more minutes. They have opted for blue side this time. And didn't have side fight last time.
Yes. I think Invicta is looking for that Rel pick.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to look for the Rel pick.
Once again, I think Colwell had a brilliant game, right? Doesn't get talked about enough, this guy. Some of those counter engages won the fight, like I think specifically surrounds that bot lane play, right, around that dragon, where things were still looking very dicey for Lost Nation, where Chips had been chunked out pretty heavily fighting that dragon from that headshot. Able to find a massive turn on that Rel. We see the same bands though coming out from Invicta. We know they had this Karma Caitlyn prep.
And it is the Rel. I told you it's gonna be the Rel.
Now, I'm very curious what Lost Nation has in their pocket to deal with this, because this is a flex pick, more of a flex pick than it is for LN, I think. Obviously, Rel jungle, maybe not what you're going to be playing against the Graves, right? It's just going to out-power farm you. And I was going to
see the Poppy.
It might be the Poppy coming through. Can be played jungle and support and top, but I think that's most likely to be heading into the jungle.
I mean, the Zyra pick being picked up again. I think Alan is just saying like, "Hey, I don't need Darrell to be good on Zyra," but Zyra's not locked. Oh no, Zyra's locked in. But
Yeah, I think it's more.
even.
I don't even think they're drafting specifically for the Rel Zyra combo. I think it's really, really big comfort for Playmassive, who is uncomfortable on these more traditional carries, right? Doesn't want to play the Ashe either. Meanwhile, Invicta locking in the Jinx here, going the opposite route, being like, yeah, we don't need to smash you early, we'll just scale up, we'll play out of your range, which I do think was the correct idea heading into that previous game. But yet again, a champion that you don't want to get picked on in the form of this Jinx. Hugini is going to really have to clean it up. Ivan locked in here on 3.
This is this seems to be like a very chunky front line with the Ivern and the Daisy and the Rel. Invicta having a very, very solid team comp in the first 3 picks, while LN looks more for counter picks. I'm already getting since Zyra's good in Rel.
I'm already getting whiffs of more traditional front to back coming in, shades of that from the Invicta draft. I mean, I see Jinx, Ivan, Rel, Core. It's going to be a late game skating team fight. Gangplank picked up on R3, blind in the top lane here for Lost Nation. That
maybe the mid lane.
I mean, could go towards the mid lane. Could go towards but no, have you seen... You could say it go towards the mid lane, but have you seen Fish on this champion, man? It's like, he replaces oranges with battered cod. It's actually just unstoppable.
And we see the Taliyah ban coming out. Something which I expected, seeing as the Taliyah was one of the major playmakers with that Rel in that game.
I like to see the Malphite banned out. It's good into the Gangplank. The Rumble taken off the board as well. Very, very strong early on. Can really punish out Gangplank. Can really punish out these immobile champions picked up by Lost Nation as well. But yeah, we see Malphite taken off the board. Good into Gangplank. Provides follow-up engage for the Rel as well. That's something that Ivan comps end up lacking a little bit, right? Rel will be solo engage unless you can look for something like a Jax on this top side, but I don't know what you want to be playing into Gangplank, to be honest. You don't know what you want to be playing into Fish's Gangplank either. I mean, I remember in their
so
match...
interesting to see the Karthus man coming out.
In their match against... Sorry, no worries. I just want to say, in their match versus Cosmic Transcendence, in that final game, I remember Fish had a real rough time on the Gangplank in that top lane, right? Ended up falling behind early on, but really scaled into the game, made some massive outplays. Meanwhile, we see Bel'Veth locked in. Carter's taken off the board, but the other farming... Feast or Famine champion, I guess, coming in clutch. Really interesting pick. Super, super game walking. And I'm surprised to see this Bel'Veth, because this is a champion that rides quite heavily on prio. Maybe we'll see something like a Sejuani mid come out. It's something that G2 have posted before. Would be able to, bully out Ivan in this jungle. There really isn't that much early potential coming out here from Invicta. Actually, the more I think about it, the more I like this Bel'Veth pick.
I'm currently trying to gauge what Invicta is going for, seeing how they picked the Orgoth.
Well, it's clearly it's a front back, right? At least it says to me. Urgot can play really, really strong in those front back fights, right? As a skirmisher, can be a huge body block for something like the Bel'Veth.
And Neeko being picked up.
I think Neeko is the sort of bridge, very easy mid laner, going to be able to get Invicta towards that sort of level 9, second 1.5, 2 item spike where their team is really, really strong. Maybe a bridge with the other game, but it does mean Counterfeit goes over to Lost Nation into Neeko. It's going to be an Ahri for Mimi's time.
It could be a Bel'Veth support.
It's not a Bell. It could be a Bel'Veth.
Looking at how the team is built.
Nah, I doubt it. I highly doubt it. There's no reason you're playing Rel into Poppy. You're not taking the Rel into Poppy to go Bel'Veth support. Like, come on, there's no way. If it is a Bel'Veth support, I'd say based Vest support, but I also don't think it's that good into Jinx Rel. From what I know of it, right, like it punishes these sort of lower range bot lanes, really, really aggressive early on, but Jinx Rel have tools to fight back against it, right? Chompers, I think, makes her life kind of miserable. I also think you've got decent amount of damage with Jinx early on, funny enough. If you can land like a Zap or two, you have a lot of attack speed ramping as well. You're going to have much more sustained DPS than something like a Zyra.
I mean, yes. I mean, it's the same as before. LN's looking for these bursts, for these burst downs with actually just Bel'Veth being their only real source of DPS.
I mean, Yeah, apart from the Gangplank, I think Ari can do quite a lot as well. I want to say though, I think once again, as it was last game, we didn't point out as much, but it's really, really important to keep your eyes on the mid lane in this match. Right, we saw just how dominant Mimi Slime was over the more safe Orianna. Right, coming out from Boga Kingslayer. If you can get this prio in the mid, like they managed to do before, if you can chunk out, if you can force Boga Kingslayer out of lane, find a 1v2 invades with Bel'Veth, this Ivan, Raz the Kindred, is going to have an absolutely miserable time. But we're going to have to go into a quick break while we wait for Spectator Delay to take down. But before I do, who do you think's coming out on top in this game?
We saw LN, even with the draft disadvantage, just pull off an enormous victory. And seeing how they're built now, and looking at Invictus comp, I would honestly say that taking into account what happened last game is that LN's probably gonna take this win.
I also think LN has the better draft. So I'd say there's no chance they win. Look, I've watched this team enough. No, I'm joking. I'm joking, of course. I do like their draft more. I think they've got a really good shot coming into this one. It's a really important stabilization game for Invicta as well, right? After having that decent early game, but getting pretty blown out as the game went on, they've got to keep their mental steady. They've got to scale up. They've got so much scaling in their kit. They got Jinx. They got Ivan. They've got Nurgle, right? Nico as well. Pretty good skill. But we'll have to see if they can actually get to that point up against Poppy, up against Bel'Veth, up against the Ahri. We'll see in just a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. We're about to head into the second game of EAL Finals. Welcome to the Rift. Play will resume in 0 seconds, but while we're in this space in between, this liminal time between game and gameplay, welcome back to the stream. We're here for the finals, baby. Oh, I thought it was on pause for a second, but it's lying. But we should be getting in shortly. All right, we're in. We've made our way past the pause. It's Lost Nation this time on red side. After losing that game 1, Invicta have chosen blue. They've gone for something a lot more scaling than last time. Different responsibilities as the game goes on.
Yes.
Obviously, Jinx. Hugini on this Hujinx. Ghost Flash could be a monster in these late game team fights if they can make that their Funkel as well. Once they hit that level 9 points, from then on, Urgot's going to be a beast. But Lost Nation, with this volatile Bel'Veth pick, with this Prio coming from Ahri in the mid lane, and with Fish on their ever-reliable Gangplank, still have one hell of a shot. It's all to play for still. 1 game advantage to Lost Nation. Invicta trying to claw it back.
Yes, and we see that Invicta chose the blue side to pick up this Rel. Seems like it is the contested pick of this series, as I've mentioned.
So it's always a contest. This champion's absolutely disgusting.
I mean, yeah, I think next game it's gonna be banned by whoever gets red side.
But then again, both these teams opted for the exact same bans between the 2 games, right? I mean, if maybe you have to swap it up then if you're Invicta, because if you lose to Rel on blue and you lose to Rel on lose having Rel on blue and against it on red, you're gonna have to ban it out. Whereas I think if you're Lost Nation, you win this game. You don't even have to ban it out. You can leave it up. Just put more pressure on this Invicta lineup, which, bear in mind, still very, very strong players at the game. We've seen that. They've made some brilliant counter punches to what Lost Nation have got going on, but just not enough to close it out as these games gone forward. But yeah, they've got much more of a scaling in this game, much more of a time, much more of a scaling advantage, I think. Lost Nation, once again, ball is in their court. Burden of execution is on them, but I still think they can make it happen. I'm interested to see how Corwell does on this Poppy, though. I mean, it's not what we've traditionally seen. Specific counterpick into Rel, an exact counterpick. But not quite able to get the same sort of wombo combo team fighter you'd normally expect out of this guy.
I mean, yes, it seems like this Poppy pick was just solely designed to play against this Rel, to just deny her only means of engage, unless you counter Flash R as an engage. But yeah, this Poppy is solely there to deny this Rel and make her pretty much useless for much of the game.
We see here both junglers avoiding each other. I'm going to do a standard Ivan clear. Maybe we're going to see Chips look for a level 3 gank up towards his top lane. Funkel a lot more vulnerable on this Urgot, especially now. I think Mimi Slime probably spotted out Raz the Kindred heading for their bot side jungle. Chips knows that they're home free on the top here, can look to do whatever they want.
Yes, and I find it interesting that Burger King opted for the first strike Nico. Certainly going to be interesting how that will translate into the later stage of the game. I mean, Nico has the range advantage.
Never mind that. We're going to have to see how this gank translates into this current stage of the game. Chips walking up Fish in the area. CC from Spellver blowing that dash already on Funkel. Flash away. Knock up connects. The slow from the red buff is there. Conqueror has been procced, but Fish with not quite enough damage. The Queenly Majesty auto fast blood to the Bel'Veth will die to the minions.
But this is good for Chips. He gets to shove this in. Urgot will be forced to TP back into lane. No, this is very good for LN. This is a very good start for LN.
Yeah, I mean, getting Accelerates on the Bel'Veth always feels good. The Stridebreaker build is, I think, what Chips is going to be going, has been pretty damn popular since the buff on that item in solo queue. I think it's Kraken into Stridebreaker is the build. Going to be going for that.
I think so as well, yeah.
Meanwhile, though, we haven't seen Raz the Kindred get anything done yet. Obviously, Ivan's going to take a bit longer to come online. We'll know Chips is in the area, though. I still think Lost Nation have a good chance of winning this. Flash forward stun, though, immediately. Chips diving onto Hugini, caught out, isolated, dashing back in, but no support here quite yet. The knockup comes through. The stun is there. Queen of Majesty, the damage resistance is not enough to keep him alive. Mimi Slime as well, getting chunked out, taken down by the Kindred. That's a double reset on the Jinx. Play Massive, Corwell do not have the DPS to continue this. Corwell tanks up the route, maybe looking for the re-kill. Houdini will end up falling. Play Massive not willing to look to save their support. Rooted up in the end. It's a 3-for-1. Oh, sorry, 3-for-2 in favor of Invicta.
This Ivern and Nico just coming in clutch with those roots, just keeping the members there. And I think Nico chunked down Mimi Slime while Mimi Slime tried to roam down and help, just waiting in that bush, waiting for that Ahri and just chunking her down, which just took her out of this fight.
The early power of Nico. The early power of Nico is just much larger than that of an Ahri, right? Like Ahri obviously has ways she can push, but Nico's early game is just absolutely insane. Right, like Ahri's good, but Nico's better. At least until level 6, Mimi Slime will be a bit faster on the roams and does have maybe a little bit more solo kill potential. But obviously, no one can deny how effective a perfectly timed Pop Blossom can be.
That is truly the case. And Mimi Slime hitting his level 6 power spike sooner than Burger King. Seems like he's gonna look for something in the top lane. Funkel, who has no flash, will be a easy prey.
No. Does miss on the charm though. The electrocute comes through, teleport forced out. The play will go nowhere. Unfortunate miss there for Mimi Slime, but nice dodge from Funkel. Now Chips in the enemy jungle going to be called out. Raz the Kindred is here as well. Burger King's there. Chips, you have no flash. This is an overforce and a half. Ahri's level 6, sure. Funkel will not fall. Dashing into the fear. It's a disaster for Lost Nation.
And Lost Nation here just playing these fights. And Fish just trying to salvage things. His damage is just out of this world.
But now has no barrels, now has no Q. Will pick up one, flashing away, but the Ivern auto will collect. That's another kill over to this Ivern. It's a 7-4 lead. It's a 1,000 gold lead to Invicta. They've got themselves a lot better early game in this one, even pushing in on the spot side.
I mean, yeah, like, it's just a farm fest if you look at it. Seeing how Rel is just unable to find any meaningful engage. And Ivern just getting ahead is gonna make the game very harder for LN. Seeing how they have no way to heal, and Ivern's just being that mixture of a very good support.
Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Eugenie will get one on to the support. Corwell has gone down. Chips will answer back, though. No way to eat that Void Coil. Flash away by Play Massive. Raz the Kindred in the area. Numbers advantage here to Invicta. Sazu will end up falling. Chips gets the heal. Oh my god, the Triumph saves their life. Another kill goes over. Play Massive, I think, hit level 6 off that kill. It's a 2 kills over to Nico. I don't know if he needs to dash in there, but
what the heck is going on?
You know what it is? I was going to try and figure out how many kills are in that bot lane, but all I will say is it's a bloody mess. I think it was a 4-for-3 in favor of Lost Nation there.
I think so as well.
It was so good for them. But then they blundered it away by walking back up with Chips, walking back up with Play Massive, when neither of them needed that to kill Burger King Slayer. End up giving up for 2 kills and sort of bring the gold lead back to parity, but now it is exactly equal, only about 200 in it. This game is wild. It's over a 2 kill a minute game. What more is there to say than that?
Like, they want to see blood. They want to see... They're out for blood. That's what it is.
Raz the Kindred.
Yeah.
Looking for something, will not find it. Meanwhile though, we see on the top side, Chips has started up this Herald, has priority in lane. Fishers once again, I mean, is down 2 kills, but has been getting the push consistently onto Funkel. And with this push, with the mid lane being abandoned in favor of the Dragon, this will be a first Herald over to Bel'Veth, which is a very, very scary thing to see. However, Drake will go over to not to Lost Nation, to Invicta. So feeling a little bit happy about that one. Able to get that Ocean Drake pretty good in the early game for surviving these more poke-oriented lanes. But Bel'Veth's just going to hoover up your entire topside jungle.
Seems like the Urgot's even designed to be a counter pick against against the Gangplank, being able to one-shot these barrels.
Ult comes out on the bot side of the map. Engage onto Hugini. Play massive, chunked out quite low. The gank comes through from actually no, the engage comes through from Corwell. The ult's not quite enough. Play massive, forced to run for the hills. We can see Lost Nation a lot less comfortable without this Rel in the bot lane.
Yes, and we just see the Ivern with the Rel just having that engage, just having that peel.
Meanwhile, though, we see on the bot lane, empowered chips on the play. Herald charges in on mid. Dive being set up here onto Zazu. Cannot afford to walk that close. All the vision's been swept out. It's a 3 versus 2, but Chips is empowered, able to dash away from the stun. Nothing comes out from Bel'Veth. I think Chips is just wasting their time.
And he's forcing them off the tower, which would have just accelerated Jinx's growth by getting more platings and more farm.
Yeah, certainly would. I mean, it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing. But I feel like you could have been looking to maybe steal away more of Raz the Kindred's jungle. But in the top lane, by the way, we did see Fish once again force Funkel off this tower. Isn't able to find a meaningful CS lead though. Does have that 2 plates in their back pocket. Picked up the Essence Reaver as well, going for that. Going for those Navori quick plates, I think, on the next item. I said Funkel comes online with the 2-item power spike, but Gangplank is very much the same. And it's quite funny, despite being very close on CS, despite being 2 kills ahead here for Funkel, very, very much difference in the items they're able to purchase. That's the issue when you go for this first item, Titanic Hydra, right? You struggle to finish it up, you struggle to get all your components in, and Fish will have the advantage in this lane. But speaking of this lane, will they be able to come down and help on this mid lane gank? Chips knocks up Kindred, will end up falling, dashing back in. Corwell here on the roam. Burger Kingslayer next to full. That's another 2 stacks each for Chips here. And that's going to feel pretty good for Lost Nation.
I don't know what Raz was doing there. I'm maybe looking for a gank, but with no vision or knowledge where this Bel'Veth is, that was some hopeful thinking. And massive damage going down to Massive. Hugini just getting that lane in, trying to get those platings, while Sarzu is waiting for Massive to step up.
Funny enough, we don't see that big of a CS lead in the bot lane, like more like we're used to seeing. Hugini, Sarzu obviously having a bit of a rougher time with it. Has been a lot of attention down here as well. Meanwhile, Chips looking for a gank, gonna spot out Raz the Kindred. Daisy has been placed, Root comes up, but Mythic is complete here. The Kraken Slayer comes through. Raz the Kindred looking to get burst down. Chips misses the auto. This time it's gonna be fatal. No way of
killing.
Yeah, no way of killing Raz the Kindred. Massive forced to flash away, knocked away by that Keeper's Verdict from Corwell. Mimi side maybe the next target. Does mean that Fish is going to have a much better time of it up in the top lane, but that's another kill over. That's going to be Bel'Veth forced out of her true form, and that's going to be a flash blown on the mid lane and AD carry.
A very good fight here from Invicta.
Of course, they're playing really, really well, right? They are playing towards their win condition. They are falling behind in gold though, somewhat, because Fish has had free reign on this top side. That's the price you pay with that teleport. Gangplank pretty fast at taking these turrets with the Essence Reaver completed, with that passive as well, dealing all that true damage. Gonna get that first turret as well. We said the gold was somewhat even in this lane. If we can have a look now, it's gonna ballooned up to about, yeah, 3,000, oh sorry, a 2,000 lead almost for Fish. That is disgusting. Sure, you find the play on the cross map, but at the end it's only 1 kill. You don't even get many plates for it. And Fish is a monster in this game. We should start calling him Shark instead.
I mean, this is the power of platings. Like, platings are one of the most important resources in the game, as it still stands. Like, they give so much free gold and are the thing that you should prioritize as most. Like, it doesn't matter if you do nice crossmap plays. Like, if the enemy gets the platings, then it was all for nothing.
Yeah, it was like, what, like 3 or 4 kills worth of gold. Fish got on that top side, and now Lost Nation are able to pick up this dragon as well. First move here, Raz the Kindred is in the area. Burger King's there, walking down. Houdini over the wall. Chips chunked out. Sazu may be caught out of position. Daisy dashes forwards. Teleport though coming in for Fish, has the advantage this time. Urgot will not be able to make it. Looking for the play onto Burger King's there. Those Qs are nasty. Dragon picked up here by Lost Nation. Belveth in powered form, looking for some more. Maybe going over the wall. Knockup connects onto Burger King's there. Charm does land onto Raz Kindred. Meanwhile, massive engagement from Sazu followed up by the pop wash and shut down to this Nico. Houdini gets another one on the backside, and what looked like a good fight for Lost Nation is turned by this woman on a horse.
To be exact, the horse are her pants. Or pretty much the armor she has on her pants. But yeah, like, Rel is such a strong champion. Like, the re-engage is killing everything. And
They're looking to clean up on this dive. Raz the Kindred forced to flash. Oh no, just managed to walk their way out. Didn't have to flash, but Mimi Slime as well, sticking it under turret when 4 members of Invicta were on that side of the map. A little bit too overconfident.
yes, but this Rel just turning the fight in favor of Invicta is it just shows how strong this pick is. Like, Rel is such a game changer if she's played correctly, and Sarzu and Koval are both very good Rel players.
Yeah, well,
Like-
no offense to both of them. That champion is that champion can make anyone look like a good role player. But no, undeniably these players are incredibly skilled on the hero. It's the re-engage, I think, that both these teams are not respecting, and it's sort of the issue at this level of play, I think, right? It's so hard to know when enough is enough in a fight. It's so easy to get hypey, especially in the finals, right? It's so easy to just keep surging forwards when nerves are high, but you can end up losing out on the fight. Meanwhile,
I know,
see the Herald
they
pick up.
have these champions that just want to go in and they want to continue fighting and fighting. The Belbeth resets, the resets on the Ahri, then we have the passive on Jinx, who just wants to run down the enemy after getting all
nice throw there
hyper
from
and
Fish.
excited.
Knocked up, cleansed away. Solo Bolo in the top lane. Fish is a hell of a monster. Chips, so this time gonna end up losing out on this. Never mind, gonna be able to pick it up. Raz the Kindred in the area. There comes the cannon barrage. Daisy will fall. In the end, Lost Nation get a clean 1 for 9 up in that top. Oh fuck.
Slow comes through. Fish.
I'm sorry, I took that moment. I thought the fighting was over. I took that moment to take a bite out of my sandwich, and I missed out on that play. Huge pick onto Raz the Kindred in the enemy jungle. It's... I don't know, I feel like you can't be sticking around that long, right? Like, once again, it seems like both these teams are a little bit disrespectful. Sazu as well, going to be able to stun out play massive on Recall. Burger King, Houdini in the area. Root does not connect, but that Rel ult, the Magnet Storm, is massive. Burst comes through though, Desire denies it. Colwell picks up the kill for themselves. Funkel misses out on the snipe. Colwell so very low, running for their life. Jinx comes through, reset on that passive. The Everfrost is large. Here comes Chips in the middle of 3. 1 will fall, reset is there. Funkel running for the hills. The Charm connects this time. Root coming out. Chips still looking for more, but Chunk very, very low. Has to run for the hills. The re-engage comes through from Funkel. Mimi Slime flashing away. The shields are immense, but it's not going to be enough to save them. Meanwhile, Fish has found the angle onto the tree. And Chips, their partner in crime, takes down the Urgot.
That fight was hanging LN hanging on a thread here. Like, this fight could have went so wrong so quick. The Urgot just missing his ultimate, combined with his legs just not hitting. Very well played by LN.
Incredibly so.
Once again, this game is too hectic for my liking. Second item picked up here by Chips. We saw how much an unleashed Belveth can do in these fights, right? Now,
I mean,
the escape is almost impossible with these Stride Breaker slows.
I mean, yes, but it seems like
Oh my god,
Invictus.
look at the gold lead. Look at the play on Chips here. Chunked out very low, forced to run for the hills. Sniper coming out. The re-engage, the grasping tendrils knocks up 2. Corwell is here, but the health bars are just not high enough. You're not tanky enough. Funkel gonna enable Sazu to pick up that kill. Play Massive just trying to peel for their jungler. Maybe looking for the re-engage. Fish is in the area, has the barrel prep. Let's have a look at the damage. Does it crit? Auto crit. Auto, Sazu will burn down, not quite, the redemption comes through, the healing is there for Fish, so close to death and yet survives. 1-4-1, Funkel is down, teleport is forced out from Burger King's side, they're still trying to contest onto Drake. Chips is now very low, no lifesteal from anything like a Borg. Death Rocket on cooldown though means Chips will be able to make their way out, but this dragon will go over surely to Invicta.
I wouldn't count LN out yet, seeing how Invicta is just hesitant to take this dragon. And seems like they're opting in for more the mid tower, giving up the second dragon.
This is very interesting. Opting to put the Herald and actually stay in the score the Herald in when you know that it's going to get a charge down. Charm goes wide onto Burger King's side. Rocket comes out, Chips almost falls, but the lifesteal from the E passive is enough. They do get the second Herald charge off, but that barrel was massive. Houdini chunked out solo. Sazu does find the stun. Barrel 2 will not connect, but Burger King said will find Chips on the Drake instead. Play Massive will answer back 1-4-1. Fish looking for more. Sunned Up ignited, doesn't matter. Takes down the support, and this is what we expected to see out of Lost Nation. Fish on an absolute rampage this game.
I don't like this re-engage with Rel and Ivern. Like, they don't have the damage to really burst down the Gangplank, and Gangplank has 3 items. He's most likely on a 75% crit, which means that.
Excuse me, was that sorry, can we see that again, Flexion, please? Was that a 3,000 gold lead in just the top lane?
No, that looks like a 6,000.
Oh, sorry, I can't count. 6,000.
Oh, 5,000. We're generous.
Could you please look at the goal? How the hell has he done this? What is this absolute monster of a man? It's not even like he doesn't even look that far ahead. How much of that is first strike value? He's looking to try and burst out Funkel. Just got an item lead, a 2-item lead. What?
I mean, it's just Gangplank. Like, he just.
Okay. No. I play a decent amount of Gangplank. I'm not getting 6,000 gold in my 6,000 gold lead in my games, right? What are you on about? It's just Gang. Can we have a look at how much First Strike has got them? Because I'm actually kind of curious. It's got to be so much, right? If you click on him and hover over his rune. How much? Oh, on the top right, on the portrait on the top right. I think it will work. Underneath this teleport. Never mind, we're heading into a fight. We don't have time for that. Never mind, Corval's going to stop the engage. Speed up comes out. Teleport coming in. Mimislime looking for the assassination. Having to dive away from the Nico. Chips so very low. Does find the kill onto the AD carry, but answer back onto Corval. So will Chips fall. Mimislime down as well. Fish has teleported in. It's a Fish versus the world and a plant. Zyra over the wall, managing to find on to Nico. Means that there's no further engage coming out here from Invicta, but nice catch in that topside jungle.
And Invicta just showing that they're still in this game. They still have the damage and they're still deadly. A Fish being... I think Fish is one of the only ones that can really hurt Invicta at this point, seeing how the rest of them just lack damage.
Never mind. I'm sorry, production. I remember how to check the first strike thing. As we see, never mind, a pick on to Burger King Slayer. Out of nowhere. That shouldn't have happened. Anyway, so you see that little arrow. So no, I need to know this. You see on the Gangplank in the bottom left, that little arrow there. He's got 1.2k gold from First Strike at 23 minutes.
I mean, let's look at Gangplank again, because his passive also generates gold.
Yeah, can we just look at Gangplank in general, man? Fish has had such a good game.
Let's look at the passive. Shouldn't it tell us how much?
If you hover over the passive, hover over the Q, I believe it is. The Q.
No, I think the Q, yeah.
The Q. Hold shift.
Shift.
Oh, he's got 855 gold. He's got an extra 2,000 of that gold lead. It's just from First Strike and from his Q collecting kills. That's pretty disgusting. That's pretty nuts. Meanwhile, we see the gold. The kills are even. We do see, of course, that Invicta are having a much better time of it in this game, right? Actually able to find stuff back on the cross map. But Chips now lying in wait. The Predator, the Void Seeker. There comes the Pop Blossom. The burst is huge onto Mimi Slime, but it's not going to be enough. Chips comes in for the kill.
These small mistakes just cost so much. Like Invicta cannot do this. Like they need to find, they need to find picks, but this is not the way forward.
Sazu maybe getting called out here. Fish on the flank. That's a massive cannon barrage, slowing up 4. Chips on the surge through. Funkel does now have a flank though. Teleport now coming in from Mimi Slime. Rel, Magnet Storm not going to be able to peel. Hugini not able to do enough damage. Force the kite away. Is actually now free hitting though. You need to threaten onto this Jinx or the fight, or get the hell out of there, or the fight's going to be so difficult. Berkingsley does have to teleport now. There's that flank ward just over that mid-river bush if they want to go for it. But Lost Nation, content with just picking off 1. I'm going to start up this Baron. And it doesn't look like there's going to be any contest from the Invicta side. They're going to go for this Dragon
Lost
instead.
Nation just going for Dragon, yes. I mean, it's the safer option. They just need to do that.
Is it really that safe though when Fish has Playmaster has there's 3 teleports in the team, man. It is. They will pick up the Dragon, now they gotta not stick around. There's no reason to stay here. There's no reason to give a kill over to Fish or Playmaster. They're gonna do the right thing and just back off.
Peculiar. LN just now gonna focus on pushing down the mid tower, having all the siege potential. Not only the Baron buff, they also have so much more poke damage.
Sadly, Belveth's not here. Not gonna be able to get those empowered void minions on that wave. I mean, hanging around on the flank. Sazu is the victim. Autos coming out. Belveth, Queenly Majesty, Charm comes through. Kill comes out. Chips running for the hills. We'll get the reset through. That's no engage for Invicta for the next 30 seconds. What can Lost Nation do with it? They're just going to try and siege up, but the wave is cleared and it doesn't look like anything else is going to come of it. Never mind, Charm connects onto Burger Kingslayer. There comes the Cannon Barrage. Won't land onto anything. The Burger Kingslayer now chunked out heavily. Chips tanking up this turret. There are no minions nearby. Hugini looking for perhaps the reset. Snipe comes out, shut down over to Hugini, Pop Blossom onto 2, including the Gangplank. Fish is executed by Urgot, 1000 shut down, falling on the bot side as well. Playmassive is dead. Mimi Simon Chips running for the hills, but Jinx is excited to close this one out. Never mind, the engage comes through from Chips. Surely will end up falling though. In the end, it's a 2-4-5 Invicta to get about 3000 golden shutdowns and manage to defend the base.
I mean, this is so important that the Jinx died, because with this Jinx, Invicta could have closed out this game. Seeing how it takes 30 seconds for most of LN's members to come back. Oh, my bad. I see Fish is up in 10 seconds again. So I guess he could have held it back, but still, massive play by Invicta here. Just getting back into the game, getting that gold onto the Jinx, getting that gold onto that Urgot.
It's just one hell of an overforce after chunking out Burger Kingslayer. Didn't see the Pop Blossom coming. I think a massive engagement from Sazu. Turns out Rel is a pretty strong champion. Who would have thought?
I mean, what is this Rel champion even? Like, it has no impact. I mean, totally not keeping Invicta in the game for the fourth time, I guess.
The Riot games are kind of funny. I do want to say that it is interesting to me that Corwell did opt for this hard counterpick in the form of the Poppy and just hasn't been able to make it work at all. Maybe has been able to deny the engages, but not at the crucial times. And I'd really rather see them on something that's more practice, something like the Nautilus, right? Like Corwell is.
I mean, they could have picked the Alistar. They've had a very good Alistar game, and with Alistar they could have just shot away Funkel, which would just deal a massive blow to this Invicta front line. I mean, 5k lead still ahead. Gangplank won't. I mean, the saving grace is that Gangplank won't get stronger.
Meanwhile, Gangplank has found a solo kill onto Funkel in the top side. You said Gangplank won't get stronger. I mean, you can still sell your boots, and it's still, I think a Gangplank that can't get stronger is at the limit of his power is still a very scary thing to deal with, as Funkel found out
yes,
last time.
but why would he sell his boots? He gets so much cooldown reduction with
Yeah, true.
Ionia
Maybe
boots.
opting for something like a Guardian Angel, I think is really crucial.
I
in
mean,
these fights.
possibly, but you would trade.
Meanwhile,
so much.
we see Mimi Stein here pressuring onto this bot lane turret. Blast coming away on the top side of that bot side jungle. Will be able to pick up this turret for free. Gangplank as well, forcing out the response. 3 members collapsing here from Invicta. Raz the Kindred sliding on in. There's barrel number 1 coming down. Pause just as the engage comes through for Rel.
Production, can we get the reason why this pause happened?
I think it's because Fish right now is like, yep, that's me. I guess you're probably wondering how I ended up here, right?
What?
No. The engage does come through. The pause is over. The cleanse is not enough. Another 1,000 gold shot down to Houdini.
And will the bug come through? Will the bug happen, Riot Games? No. Seems like not.
Production said we jinxed it. Actually, Jinx is on. Just so you know, production. Jinx is actually being played by Houdini this game. We aren't actually playing in this game. There we go. We're through the second pause. Mimi Slime is still pushing onto this bot lane turret. There is a massive vision control though in this bot side of the map for Invicta. They know exactly what Lost Nation are up to. They know they're stacking in this jungle. Sarzu maybe even able to look for an engage. Gonna just clear out this vision. Dragon spawning up just now. I think Invicta can fight for it. Teleport coming through from Funkel. Fish dead for another 15 seconds. I think this is the chance. You have to go for the soul point right now.
I mean, yeah,
on the
you
wall,
need to
Sarzu
force
in the
this.
area. Raz, the Kindred on the flank. 5.6k, 5,000 chips isolated from the rest of the team, pins it out, but Sarzu is able to steal the Drake away. Chips not able to make it over that wall. Knock back there from Corval. Flash, stun, knocked back under, kill to Jinx. She's excited. Mimi side will find one back, flash forwards. Oh my lord, the grasping roost. Jinx is so low. Instantly trumpet up though means that Mimi side will end up falling to the ignite. Burger King gets on at the backside. It's up to Chips to find the play. The flash, the strike breaker, and Fish on the backside gets a triple kill in the fight.
This fight went from so good to so wrong.
What a
So
mess. You know when it went from good to bad? When Fish teleported in. Right? I didn't even catch it. I think they were sweeping through. It's just such an absolute mess of a fight.
I mean, honestly, Raz just not being with his team, looking for this flank. Like, Raz, you're the peeler. You need to peel this Jinx. You're not the one looking for those flanks. You should have Sarzu or Funkel on the flank, doing
And that
this
flank,
pressuring.
I think that's why they lost the Drake as well. Chips was able to flash in while Raz was looking. You need to stick with the team. Raz the Kindred. You're not playing Kindred this bloody game, mate. You need to stick around. And because you couldn't,
I mean,
it
he
ends
wasn't
up-
there.
it ends up with a soul point for Lost Nation. It ends up with an ace. I don't think an ace. 1 kill off an ace for Lost Nation. You see here, Gangplank maybe gonna catch Funkel. Not quite.
I mean, Funkel even dodged this one. And Gangplank just picked up his Guardian Angel, trying to have that extra survivability to survive all this bursts coming out from Invicta. In the end, it's just gonna come down like how the next team fight is gonna be played, and if Invicta's gonna find a way to kill Lost Nation before Fish arrives.
I think Lost Nation, by the way, they picked up another Baron. They've got that's like a third this game or something. Lost Nation need to force Invicta to come into them. They've got the Zyra, they've got the Gangplank. Both these champions excel in that position. Sarzi may be called out, but Chips on their own in enemy territory, able to zip and slide their way out. I think Lost Nation here going to be pressuring onto this bot lane. Outer turret, the final outer turret remaining for Invicta. By the way, I want to point out, top lane tier 1 still standing here for Lost Nation. Fish absolutely dominant on this side lane. And we see here, yeah, just forced to back off, and the threat of the Bel'Veth push is so immense. forced to give up that tier 2 to Ari. Look for the engage. Maggot Storm comes down. Redemption on top of it, but there's no follow-up this time. Chips tanking up so much aggro. I think Fisher a massive barrel as well. Sazu is dead. Charmed up. Burger King Slayer collected by the Gangplank. That's your AD carry. That's your support off the board. That's no Pop Blossom. You do manage to find the shred, the kill onto Play. Massive stun onto Fish, but the Guardian Angel means that no burst is gonna come through. Popped into their GA. Cornwall knocking back Houdini at the optimal moment. Fish is dominating Chips, destroys that inhibitor on the top side, and I think this is gonna be game. The knock-up comes through, the damage is true, and in the end it looked a bit rough, but Lost Nation able to come out with this second game in this best of 5, putting themselves on match point.
Chips just in this last fight, saving his team by taking up all the aggro, making sure that no one, that the Nico and the Jinx cannot follow up this Rel engage.
I'm fairly sure they popped that Queenly Majesty early to get that damage reduction, knowing that like they didn't have to solo kill everyone. Fish was going to be firing off in the back. By the way, Fish did like twice the damage of everyone else in that team, but that may be obvious. But yeah, massive props to the heads up play from Chips there to pop that damage reduction, keep everyone away from that backline getting engaged on by Rel. And once that Rel was blown up, there was no real hope for Invicta. Now, Lost Nation are 2-0 up, heading on to this final series. One more win will secure themselves the EAL Championship. Invicta will need a reverse sweep. How do you think they start going about doing it? What do you think they need to adapt? You ban more top laners? You know,
I mean, they picked up the Rel, which worked out in their favor. But in the end, what ruined them was this focus on the bot lane. Like, just let Massive play his Seraphine. Like, just let him.
Well,
like,
we'll have to see.
Just let him play and focus more on this jungler and this top laner.
Well, we'll have to see if they let him play the Seraphine in just a bit. We're going to be throwing it to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Perhaps the final game of this season of the EAL coming up. Lost Nation 2-0. Invicta will need a miracle to get back into this one. Let's see if they can start it with a single step in just a little bit. back to what is maybe the final game of EAL for quite some time. Because it's the end of the season. We're in the finals. Lost Nation are now 2-0 up
And
over
it's match point.
Invicta. It's match point. Match point is best of 5. And it looks like, I think it looks like Invicta have chosen red side this game, which is really interesting to me.
I mean, red side for Invicta, I think they're trying to look more for these counter picks now, like trying to get a comfy game for themselves. But what do you think Invicta needs to do to
All right,
maybe win this last game?
I think previous game was really, really close. I think, it's so difficult because it got like this double threat. I still think that Nico in the mid lane was really, really good for Burger King Slayer. Allowed them to shut down Mimi Slime, especially in this early mid game. Maybe you just need to pick something like that Renekton again into Fish in the top lane, or force him onto something that's a little bit more carry on oriented, right? Because I think the game plan was really good if there wasn't a 5k gold lead in the top lane. Maybe if you just hadn't made that rotation bot lane that got that massive initial lead for Fish, there was still hope for you. I don't think they need to change up too much. I think just simple back to front drafts with a strong mid laner and perhaps a scaling top laner is all they need. How about yourself? What would you like to see them change up? I think we've had some tech issues just as I was responding. But we should be getting into draft very, very shortly. I believe both the teams are ready on draft. Heading in just a second. Nerves must be off the charts. We'll have to see. Going in. Maybe the last game. Lost Nation on blue. Invicta on red. I hope I'm proven wrong. I'm hoping it's not a 3-game series because I think Invicta deserve better than that. They've been playing better than that. But how dominant have Lost Nation been this entire playoffs run? They did drop a game to Cosmic Transcendence, but that was a hard-fought game. And I mean, had my favorite game of the season with that game 4 versus CTR. Absolute nail-biter for both those teams. Heartbreaker for the Cosmic Transcendence. Brilliant comeback for Lost Nation. Once again, you know what it was? It was Fish on this Gangplank. Absolutely massive, massive performance on this champion. Across both those series, but we should be getting into game draft shortly, I think. I've seen people, I don't want to say what I'm saying in the lobby chat, because I think it's a bit rude. Caldwell did have a bit of a rough game last game as well. Getting Caldwell off that rel, really, really important. It's pivotal for both these teams, and that's what really puzzles me about why Invicta have chosen to look towards red side here, because there's no way in God's green earth are you getting that rel. Even if you leave up the Seraphine, right, which maybe is their plan, but they're like, oh, Lost Nation will lock in the Seraphine. No, they would rather lock in that rel on that first pick. But we are in draft now. We'll have to see what the plans change up. Very similar already. Echo, Aatrox taken off the board. Kindred, Vladimir. Will it be the Seraphine ban from Vixer? I'm on tender hooks. I can't wait to see. 20 seconds. Oh, the nerves. They're rushing up. Cogmore, repeat ban. Same 3. This time it's Leona taken off the board. They've done it. They've tried to fork the Seraphine. I don't think Lost Nation fall for this. I think they slam the rel here, because I don't think Invicta picked the Seraphine for themselves. I think that's very unlikely. Lost Nation, it's all in your hands. What do you choose to do? 13 seconds to decide. Has to be the rel. It has to be the rel. It's the rel being hovered, and it's the rel being locked in. Invicta handing over that power pick. Oh, apparently it was a misban. We might be remaking draft. Unfortunately, yeah, it looks like they banned Leona instead of rel, which is, you know, fair enough. Draft remake coming in just a second.
I mean, I'm back. I'm back. I got thrown into the ban hell. Riot just decided to, hey, let's ban Disney Fury. Well, I'm back since the draft is being remade.
I do think this rail ban's interesting because if it is a rail ban, not a Leo in the ban, there's no fork coming through. It's supposed to be a I think it's likely to be a Seraphine first pick here for Lost Nation. Sorry, I just got some dust on me.
I mean, generally, I think it's just shaping up to what I expected. I mean, the rel being banned since it's the game-winning factor. I mean, it was a game-deciding factor in both games. I mean, LN just banning out.
That's what interests me about Invictus' decision to go to red side. It doesn't. I don't understand it. Maybe they know more than I do. Maybe the coach is cooking. They got a better idea than I have. But they're back on blue, Lost Nation. I think the first pick will be a Seraphine. Railband comes out 28 seconds. If they do go for that, it is locked in maybe the final game of the finals. Play Massive gets to play their champion. What does Invicta have prepped? Nautilus, brilliant answer into the Seraphine. I was going to say Nautilus Kai'Sa. Both those champions can play aggressively into these Enchanted type bot lanes. But I still think Seraphine has plenty of options, right? I know Nautilus Kai'Sa, very, very aggressive, looking to try and finally go for a kill lane down here. Taliyah, though, locked in. Mimi Slime, so proficient on this champion, being hovered. As the blind pick mid, really strong into Nautilus and Kai'Sa. Will they get locked in? Yes, it does. I think the website's... no, there it is.
I mean, the Taliyah is just being secured early since they know that this Taliyah won't go through the second phase. And the Rakan being picked up. Seraphine Rakan is such a nasty combo. It's so nasty.
I really wonder what Invicta are picking on 3 here. You can maybe go back to Nico. I think mid lane makes the most sense. Otherwise, you go for a Jarvan or something, but I don't think you want to be slamming down Jarvan like this. Especially not to Taliyah, not to Rakan either. Trundle. That's an open Trundle lock-in. I think it's just back to comfort for Invicta. They realized those fancy drafts, there's only so much you can do with it. Trundle is a troll that will just beat you to death with the club. And that might just be what all that Invicta needs. But that enables Lost Nation. I mean, you probably want to go for a tank jungler when you're playing Taliyah to be able to set up those ganks. But enables stuff like a Lee Sin even. Enables maybe even like a Bel'Veth, right? One of these more farming junglers to come through. You need some AD, certainly.
And the Gangplank being banned.
I don't blame them.
To be expected.
They banned it last time. Top lane got through second phase, and last game, Gangplank absolutely ran the show. Makes sense to take it on the board.
They banned 3 top laners. I think for top laners. I think Invicta is listening to the casters.
I think I'm gonna keep it real, Chief. I'm not sure it makes one lick. It doesn't make one lick of difference, man. I'm pretty sure I do like it. Getting him off these comfort picks, getting off these hard carrying picks as well, saving counter pick as well in that top lane. As Ahri's going to be the answer.
Ahri just being picked. I mean, I think Invicta is going to do something very fun and pick the cannon. I'm really looking forward to the Invicta cannon. Funkel's cannon. It was very dominating in the group stages.
Well, I mean, it's the back against the wall. I said they're going for comfort. They picked Trundle. They picked Kai'Sa Nautilus in the bot lane. Could certainly opt for it. I love this Graves pick, by the way. We said they need these carry power farming junglers. Graves makes a whole load of sense now. All we need to look for is the top lane. As engage with Seraphine, Rakan, Taliyah. I think you can look for something a little bit more carry oriented. I'd love to see something like the Renekton come out. Perfectly acceptable blind. Pretty good into Trundle if it gets flexed up there. Pretty strong into the Kai'Sa Nautilus. Helps the Seraphine out as well.
I mean, Chips could also surprise us with a Malphite. But no, it's the Graves. It's the Graves.
It's the Jace locked in top lane. I mean, Malphite is not bad for Invicta right here. Follows up on the Kai'Sa. I think Malphite is really, really strong if they do want to lock it. really good into Graves, really counters what Seraphine, Talia, Graves, really good into Jace, really counters what the rest of the team want to do. Will they opt for it? Instead, it's going to be the Trundle top Rek'Sai in the jungle, potentially.
I mean, a very good thing, because Trundle can just run face down. The pillar into the Frost field is just gonna nom. And Rek'Sai, a very powerful jungler in the early stages of the game, is certainly gonna look for tipping the tides in one of these solo lanes.
I mean, the gank potential of those tunnels, the sonar as well. I like the sonar choice actually to track Graves on these invades. Either junglers can look for that. Both of them can look to get aggressive. Oh, it's a bit of a Hail Mary draft here, I think, from Invicta. They come out swinging, right? Trundle literally swings. Nautilus, Kai'Sa, Ahri, Rek'Sai. All of these champions with a lot of playmaking, some more passive. Seraphine, Talia, Graves. Rakan does have that playmaking still. Jace, I think it's on Invicta to do what they did last game and be super decisive around these fights. I think, as much as my prediction was 3-0, if there's any draft that a team with their back against the wall can pilot effectively, I'm pretty sure it's this one.
We might see a start of Invicta trying to go back. Like, if this if this works out for Invicta, it's possible that they look for a great reverse sweep. But
I think they will try and get the reverse sweep if they win this.
They will. Like, LN just needs to stay back, poke them down. But honestly, Invicta's team is just so heavily focused on going in, just head smashing in. And if Seraphine and Rakan cannot peel away, then it's gonna be over.
It really will be. I think I favor them in the draft as well, but we'll have to see on the Rift. Can they make this hard engaged comp work, or will Lost Nation close out this game, close out this series, and become our EAL champions? We'll see in a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. Perhaps the final game of the night. Lost Nation looking for that 3-0. We'll catch you in just a couple of minutes.
So hold our heads up high and beat the drums to what we love. Risk the fall, oh, we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding. Only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? The champions of a world that we defy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome on to the Rift after some unfortunate router issues for Lost Nation Fish in the top. It turns out internet's not that great under the ocean. We are into game for game 3 of the finals. 2-0 lead to Lost Nation Fish on the Jace after a magnificent performance last game. Play massive on their Seraphine. Meanwhile, Houdini and Sazu finally getting a very aggressive bot lane in this Kai'Sa, Nautilus, and Raz the Kindred on their Rek'Sai.
And it paused again. What?
Anyway, we'll be
Why?
right back, guys. We'll oh my god. Can we have a look production as to why? Cause I know you're hiding the chat, but oh my god. Internet died again for Fish. I guess I guess we throw to another break. Because
I guess we see you again in
we'll
5
see you in
minutes, I
another
guess.
5 minutes, baby. I got so excited we'd be into game, but we'll catch you on the other side. See you in a bit. Pull it back! We didn't see that. Go back 20 seconds, timer. But production. Hit backspace twice. Oh, we're in game, guys! Oh my god, I wonder if anything's gonna happen. We see, oh my god, Invader on the bot side coming through here.
Seraphine just looking hella juicy.
Invicta buys the invade! First blood over to Burger King Slayer. Hello everyone, we are back. Oh my god, we're finally back, I believe. And it looks like Invicta aren't done yet. Looking for more Sazu. Not gonna find it. But that's the power of Nautilus at level 1. Not respected by Playmassive. Standing in the wrong place in that bush. Gets caught out. Gets one shot by the enemy team.
And this is just a nice start for this Ahri. Just starting it nicely. And Jay's just looking for
Been a bit of a Giga Chad here, you could say. Gets decent amount of damage down.
Fish is respecting Funkel, seeing how he doesn't opt in for that first strike.
True. Phase Rush, I mean, always better versus the melee champions as Jace.
I mean, yes.
A little bit more safety. Also allows you to do your little smack around hammer combo to the skies.
And run away.
And run the hell away if you want. But yeah, this top lane is going to be really, really crucial. We saw how much of a player Fish was, and despite the internet issues, it's still very proficient of whatever champion he chooses to pick up. Forced onto something a lot less comfortable in this Jace. Let's see how he manages it. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, kill advantage over to Burger King Slayer. I don't think they get level 2 off the first wave. Which means Mimi Slime shouldn't be in that much trouble. But still, having that extra 400, 500 gold over... Sorry, like 700 even. Gold over to Invictus. Something going to put them on the right sort of track in this game. We see here, first push in under the turret as well. Play massive. Gonna struggle a little bit until they can get that lost chapter, but obviously on their main in this Seraphine. I know it's been a while if you forgot that narrative, but banned almost every single game against Lost Nation. This time it was 5 top lane bans on the Rel. Seraphine left open to play massive, which is exactly what you wanted to see in draft, right, Igni?
I mean, yeah, like just leaving massive on that Seraphine and not wasting 2 bans on this bot laner who did have some impact in the game.
Maybe gonna waste some time. The flash forward. The auto doesn't connect from Sazu. Hook flashed away from, but Knockup still connects onto Korval, able to make their way out. That was a minor misplay that results in the missed kill there. Flashing forwards, not quite into that auto attack range.
Yeah,
and
I mean, this was really very nicely played by Rakan, just peeling back and helping Seraphine to survive. I mean, Flash being burned, but actually, it's a bit better for.
I mean, Flash
really the solo bolo.
Wow, that's still pretty potent. This chase on the turret, forcing Funko back, forcing out the flash. We see Raz once again camping this bot lane. I think Invicta have found their strategy. Just full send it over and over again. The hook connects, but onto Rakan again, not onto the Seraphine. You're not going to catch this Rakan. Sazu, poor target selection means that they're able to make their way out. Fish looking for the dive. Funkel ends up falling. Doesn't even need Chip's help. Fish with the solo kill at level 3, 4 even.
I mean, Jay's early game is just very strong. I mean, Trundle needs his levels and he needs his items to really run Jace down.
Raz the Kindred though, looking for something onto mid lane. Once again, Mimi Slime will have that Unraveled Earth. Kind of hard to follow up through that slow. Will mean that they just get a bit chunked out by Burger King Slayer on the Ahri. Ooh, Houdini. Sazu looking to get over aggressive. They know they're on vision, but Sazu knows now as well. Looking for something onto cover. Hook connects, but once again, Rakan has to flash away. Playmassive stepping on the wave, and it's the wrong position, right? You knew they were in that bush. There's no reason to not walk up close to Corwell. Force that flash out in the bot lane. Meanwhile, though,
looking at
yeah,
and looking at what everyone's playing, Houdini opting in for that.
Hail of Blades, right?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just a bit thinking, but yeah, like opting in for the Hail of Blades with the Ghost combo, which is a bit of uncommon. Seeing how when you have Ghosts, you're more prone to running the enemy down. Something with like lethal tempo. while the Hell of Blades plays in nicely in.
Fish getting engaged on here. Did have the ward, didn't he? Razakin was in the area, but the knockup comes through. The damage is down. Minion block is terrible. Fish ends up falling in the top lane. Nice repeat gank there from Raz.
I mean, very good. Fish had no way to escape this one. As someone as
I've done that myself a few times, where you see the jungler on the wall, they leave, and you immediately walk up to hit the enemy, and then the jungler comes back, and you're like, oh, I've made a bit of a mistake here, haven't I? And this is massive, though.
yes.
Look at the size of that wave.
also the playthings going over to Funkel. I mean, and Jace is more of the unsafe options to play in the top lane since he has no escape. The only escape he has is his movement speed that he has on his ultimate, on his hammer, and on his ranged hammer E.
Hook connects on to play massive there. Re-engaged there by Cobalt Houdini. Cobalt should still be fine. We didn't see it on the screen, but Graves was able to pick up that first Drake. Very, very fast for Lost Nation. Was the cross map to Raz getting that kill on the top side. But if we have a look at the gold, I think we'll see that Funkel has, got about 400 lead just from that massive, massive wave Fish was not able to pick up under their own time.
And the two platings.
And the
which,
platings, of course.
in fact, are like 350 gold, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
200.
Yeah, 100.
Yeah.
So it's like 350. We see here in the bot lane as well, Houdini and Sazu able to find push on to play Master and Caldwell. Now, of course, Rakan Seraphine combo that really comes online at that level 6 mark. You can sustain through stuff, with the empowered W, empowered by Rakan's shield. But now, looking to get a bit of assistance. Meanwhile, dash forwards, Charm connects onto Mimi Slime. Much more vulnerable in this matchup. Raz picks up the kill.
And Raz on this Rek'Sai is just so deadly. Being on the map, being top lane, being bot lane, being mid lane. He's just making so many plays. And meanwhile, Chips is just kind of lost. Like, I mean, he's farming up, he's getting his items, but now the only thing he did was secure early Ocean Dragon, which, I mean, it does help with sustain, but let's see if he can get more.
Looking at meanwhile on top lane, Raz diving on Fish. Teleport comes through, the wave will be caught at least. Fish ticking down to that ult, coming out from Trundle, levels up off the cannon minion, will end up surviving thanks to that TP.
Yes, but I mean, Talia just using her TP, she's gonna lose so much. No, she's actually not gonna lose that much.
Yeah, because Burger King said chose to teleport into the mid lane, so it's really fine. Wave was pushing into her as well.
He's gonna get a plating.
Can you say that? Nah, it definitely will. If not now, in just a couple of minutes. Cobalt though, looking for a gank onto the mid lane. Level 5. Still no level 6 for this for Khan. No quickness coming out. Does have that dash. Meanwhile, on the top side, Graves getting engaged on. Has tossed up the Herald. Numbers advantage here. Pretty heavy for Lost Nation. Engaged on mid lane. Mid laner has fallen. Sazu in the area, but Houdini is nowhere to be seen. Chips surging forwards, trying to take out Funkel with that move speed, with the red buff, the slow coming through in clutch. Ticking, boom! Chips picks up another kill, but here's Sazu with the hook. Shouldn't mean much more. In the end, it's a 2-0 on Lost Nation because they brought more members on the map.
I mean, yes, like everybody of them just went in for that. I mean, Graves got the Herald, and all members of LN just moved up to the mid lane. I mean, interesting play, but since 3 of their members have a TP, it works out.
We see now the gold. Sorry, production? Oof, that's a 2-level advantage for Chips. Thank you for pointing that out. I was going to say gold lead still in the favor of Invicta, but a 2-level lead in the jungle is super impactful for Chips, right? That is more than neutralize the gold lead in equivalent stats, right? Chips
I mean, yes,
threatening
but
the Herald.
Chips has been farming up while Raz has been playing around the map. So we're gonna see if Raz's
Meanwhile, Chips looking for something on this top side here. Does have the Herald, maybe wanting to secure something for Fish. Funkel getting chunked out. Fish going to arrive here, and I think you can place the Herald down. Reset has to come through. Teleport from Trundle unleashed. I think the channel for the reset will go off. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Mimi Slime getting collapsed on by Bug, Kingslayer, and Raz. so much time has been spent on the top side. Meanwhile, Playmassive
Offline.
managed to get a solo kill onto Houdini. Double ult combo. I told you this Rakan Seraphine combo comes online at that level 6 mark. And it's slaying them all.
But meanwhile, the mid lane is getting a chunk down. The mid lane tower. Another plating falling to Burger King and Raz.
I would like to see Chips use this Herald. It's a really unfortunate situation for Chips, actually. All of his camps are coming up. It's a bit of missed time management, I think. Spend too much time on the top lane. Maybe going to collapse into Raz the Kindred, though. Herald timing out very, very soon. Raz the Kindred nearsighted, tunneling away. Blast Cone can't... Oh, it can be popped from it. That knocked down from... Playmassive in the area, looking to try and get the slow. Red buff slow comes through. Knockup is true. Shut down over to the Seraphine.
I mean, this is a bit too greedy from Raz right there. Like trying to get the camp, even though he has no bot lane prio and Graves in the area.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
now
means
they're
that Lost
gonna-
Nation will get their second Drake of the game. Hex Tech on the board. I wonder what soul it's going to be. Hoping
I'm
for an
thinking
Infernal.
it's gonna be red. It's gonna be Infernal.
Yeah, I was saying the same thing. It's going to be Infernal. I'm feeling. Yeah, look at us. That's why we're analysts, baby. It's going to be an Infernal Soul, which is going to be massive for champions like Chase, champions like Graves. Hell, even a champion like Seraphine loves having that extra burst on all their poke. Fish now with a bit of a duel with Funkel. Has managed to still stabilize his top lane after that disastrous death on the dive. Rex the Kindred,
I
though,
mean,
still farming up
yeah.
jungle. Hold on, we see a little bit of a collapse here. Sazu caught out of position on the bot side. Mimi Slime trying to get in there, but Nautilus does have the movie boots hell of a lot faster. It just means that Burger King there will get a free crash on that mid lane turret.
I mean, yeah, the mid lane being relatively in favor of Invicta right now. But
Fight
top
on the
lane
top
is
side,
just-
massive accelerated shock blast just going right. Funkel will end up surviving. Herald was dropped before Chips fell. Knockup comes through though, knocks back into the pebbles. The auto from Playmassive picks up the kill. It's now 1-4-1. Ult connect onto Houdini diving forward. So Playmassive forced the flash over the wall. Flash is followed. Houdini will secure that shutdown for themselves. And now it's a numbers disadvantage for Lost Nation. Ari dashes through those pebbles, but still will end up picking the kill. Burger King Slayer has slain Mimi Slime. And that's a pretty bad fight there for Lost Nation. Sure, you got a couple of kills, but Herald did end up going down at least. Did manage to get that charge down. Gold did go over to Chips, but suboptimal Herald usage, suboptimal fighting, suboptimal positioning means that the gold lead is now back again in favor of Invicta. As we see here, Funkel just on top lane, on their own, pushing in the wave. Both top laners have teleport. Dragon is spawning up in 3 minutes, so I have to see if they choose to teleport before that. As Graves now looking to pick up the second Herald spawn. Up in a minute, just getting that vision down, looking for an invade onto Raz the Kindred. Will have been spotted out by Tremorchance, as I think production has maybe had some technical issues here. We're just getting a nice view of the top lane. Thank you very much. Looking for a dive coming through here. Chips looking to go out this way, but do they know Sejuani is in the area? Collapse onto Chips immediately. Strikebreaker comes through, Mythic complete, but Mimi Slime with the priority in the mid lane. Burger King on the backside though, Flash, the charm goes wide. So the second orb goes wide. Chips running for their life. Sazu in the area. The Q is not enough to pick up Koki's there. Surviving on the sliver of health, hiding in the bush. Fish. Mimi Slime looks to try and get someone up. The charm. The orb is so massive. Mimi Slime on the sliver will dodge the hug. Sazu will fall. And in the end, it's a 3-for-1 in favor of Lost Nation.
I think it was a 2-in-1, no?
No, wait, did Playmassive find... No.
Oh my god.
A 4-for-1 in that top side. A 4-for-1 in that... I don't know what happened there. I don't know how Burger King Slayer got caught out. You'd think they'd have run for the hills with no health, but... Massive, massive victory there for Lost Nation.
And the pendulum just swings back. The Jace is
Oh,
online
they're gonna
with
get this
one
turret.
item.
It's an absolute disaster. I mean, I know you've got Kai'Sa poke build coming through. It's going to be good versus the competition coming out from Lost Nation, but I'm still.
I mean, it
very
depends.
skeptical.
It depends. It depends what Kai'Sa's gonna build. Like, if she's gonna go with Yinsu, then Yeah, I'm not seeing much.
Oh
there.
my god. She better not go Ginsu's. I think it has to be a Nash's. It has to be a Luden's this game.
Nash's, Ludens, or she could
Leandre's, of
go
course.
for
Meanwhile, Chips just running down Houdini, kiting through the wave, able to block so many of those shots. The ult goes wide from Chips. The shield is there from Rakan. The speed out from Houdini. Corwell in a hell of a lot of danger. Pops that ultimate. Funkel clipped by that second half of the Q. Nicely danced there by Houdini to make their way out, but it did require a teleport from top.
I mean, Houdini nearly killing Chips, which is so far ahead in items, and with Rakan as a backup.
Yeah, it just
They might have used their teleport, but it still cost LN a lot.
They do. The wave will crash up on that. The top, it cost them tempo on that bot side. Wave will crash up on the top side though. Sejuani wasn't able to get too much done with it. Wasn't even able to steal away more than a single camp, I think, from Chips. We see now though Hex Smash coming through here from Nort. Connects. Crown though gonna buy so much time. Charmed up Mimi Slime, not able to find the knockback. Play massive teleports to the mid lane. Ends up blowing that one, perhaps unnecessarily. Chips though, not gonna find anything. Slow connects, does clip onto Burger King's there. Leandri is complete. Dodge away from the hook. Sazu looking for the re-engage. Meanwhile, on the bot side, Hojini is just hitting on the turret. Maybe can join with that killer instinct. But for now, it's a numbers advantage over to Lost Nation, starting hitting this dragon, desperate for the soul in the top lane. There's a fight going on. Fish dives in. Fish picks up Funkel. Now can reset. Can look for the teleport in. I think there's no way you can fight this if you're Invicta. The teleport would be too deadly. Instead, they're just going to give it over Infernal Soul Point to Lost Nation.
And Lost Nation seem to have this game in the back again. They have the item advantage and they have the strength in Chips and in Fish, just being able to freely decide how this game turns out. Or
Yeah, and as
pretty
much as
they decide the flow of the game.
I think this game is very good. I'm glad this is the game. If it is going to be the end of the series, this will be the game we end on. As Chips maybe called out, look for the re-engage. Ult comes through, teleport now available from Fish. Here to support their jungler. Sazu so very low. Houdini knocked away. Burger King said does find Play Massive on the side, on the flank. Chips in trouble. Charm dodged away from Corwell. As always, such fancy footwork. Mimi Slime picks up Houdini. They turn their attention towards Funkel. Meanwhile, Corwell and Chips getting engaged on double charm up from Rakan here. Masterful play from Corwell. The shields are too much. Burger King Slayer though with that Orb of Deception picks up the kill, but Raz a single Q from Mimi Slime picks that one up. Doesn't quite connect on that knockback, but Fish is on the prowl. He is looking for it himself. Auto charm comes through onto Corwell. So close to falling, but does end up surviving in the end. It's once again a 4-for-1 to Lost Nation.
Lost Nation here, very. I must say that Lost Nation here is there is a certain amount of luck involved in everything of it. They're playing with fire. They're cooking. They're cooking, so to say.
I mean, they certainly are. I mean, Playmassive getting called off at the start of that fight made it 2-for-5 actually, 2-for-4. Like Playmassive did get called off by Burger Kings there, maybe having a similar sort of mistakes to what Houdini has been doing for a lot of the series, getting called out on their own, taken down before the fight even starts. But the rest of that fight was played out super well from Lost Nation. Like the limits of Corwell and Chips on that bot side, being down about half the health bar on that Graves, still able to come out basically on top on that 2 versus 2.
Yeah, it's all that healing from his Mythic and the Bloodthirster he's building.
Yep, and from the Fleet Footwork and from Rakan, of course. Surprisingly
Yeah,
tanky.
he just healed so much in that fight.
And now we see Play Massive kind of stuck in this mid lane. Sort of a wave clear bot, but I think that's exactly what he likes to be. His solo laners on the sides. We do see Herald summoned up in the jungle here for Raz the Kindred. Didn't realize that had been taken by Invicta. As you see, that's a bit of the issue, by the way, of playing Crown versus Kai'Sa. It will just get poked off by these long range Ws. We see the turret full. We see objective bounty claim.
Either that or with that very nasty Shiv. Static Shiv is
that's
also
very
such
true as well.
a strong item. And
Very
nearly
true.
every ADC should build that. Like there is no better item than Static Shift. Even if it's a bit nerfed, it still provides so much wave control.
We see there, Fish very, very carefully escape a gank from Raz. There's Chips on the other side, Caldwell with this collapse onto Houdini. Knockup connects onto both. This guy's a master Rakanda. Shotgun blast is there. Sazu running for the hills, but the ignite will take, the auto will come through, and the second kill will go over to Chips.
Rakan just playing this beautifully.
Charmlo connects onto Fish.
Koval just showing that even if he's not on rail.
Charm flash, Orbit Deception, shut down. Sorry to interrupt you. Shut down over to Burger King Slayer on that bot lane play. Maybe the shining light here for Invicta. 5-3-3 on this Ahri. Burger King Slayer has sort of rough series, but looking like they're coming into a little bit more in this game. But they are one of the only hopes. If we have a look at the gold production, we'll see that, yeah, most gold in their team by about 1,000 at least. But they're still like only just keeping pace with Lost Nation, even getting that objective bounty. There's also a 2-level lead in the jungle. There's also a 1.3k gold lead in the jungle. There's also a bit of a gap in the jungle, if one could say.
I mean,
Chips.
it's not really a gap since Chips was power farming, or like full clearing the whole time in the early game, while Raz was trying to get Ahri ahead, which he managed. So the trade-off is just that the Rek'Sai is in the part of the game where she's just falling off. So we can basically say that Invicta is playing with 4 people right now, and it seems like they're fighting over the.
Looks like they're taking a 4 vs 5 on this dragon, and that's not gonna work out well. Triple kill over to Lost Nation. Mimi Slime looking for more. 1 down. There's gonna be an ace here. I don't want to call it before the fat lady sings, but that was a 4v5 ace over to Lost Nation.
I wouldn't call it a 4v5, seeing how Ahri and Kai'Sa weren't there. It was a 3v3, which then turned into a 3v2 with Massive not even joining.
Yeah.
So, I mean, calling it a 4v4 is...
I don't know. I mean, Fish was on top lane the entire time as well. That's what really gets me.
I mean, yeah, like Fish, the strongest member on LN, is not even there, and they're still winning hard.
Honestly, these guys, they can be so happy, so proud of all they've achieved with this EAL, right? Lost Nation, I remember being a bit of a meme team back in the day. Didn't really, was very much a fan favorite, obviously, why they've got so many wonderful people helping us out with the stream. But never had this sort of success. Now looking to pick up their first, I believe. I'm not happy. First item. Meanwhile, Fish takes out Sazu. Mimi Slime is legendary. The damage is just too much. This comp is so accelerated. The Infernal Soul as well, not helping out one bit. Even just clipping Burger King's enough to allow Chips to go over the wall and secure it for themselves. Funkel, victim, will fall. They'll get one back, but it's an ace to Lost Nation. They've got the Baron. They're knocking on the Nexus doors. Respawns are coming through, but they're definitely going to get at least one Nexus turret. I think they can push for the end. Lost Nation are trying for it. Depth charge comes out. Not going to be enough. Turret number 2 will end up falling shortly. The support will die. The ADC will die. And Lost Nations will crush any hope of a comeback. Lost Nation are winners of the
And they win 3-0.
3-0. What can I say?
3-0.
I anti-cast justice.
I mean, the last game just showing how insanely strong LN is. Just insanely strong. The solo lane's just very solid. We see like the Taliyah, even with the rough early game, the Taliyah still managed to outroam and pretty much outdo the Ahri.
Mm-hmm. In terms of MVP this series, I'm gonna sound biased because I cannot shut the fuck up about this guy. But he's just so good, man. Every single game performed, did exactly what he needed to. I gotta give it to Fish in the top lane. I know Mimi Slime had a really, really good game that first game, but man, Fish, what a guy. absolute MVP of the series, MVP of the season. I think to me, the Glart, not even Glart, just the consistent performance this guy has had across any games. Had part of the most entertaining game as well, most entertaining Gangplank comeback I've ever seen. I have to give them man of the match. I have to give them MVP of the entire season.
If I could give MVP, then I would give the MVP to Rel. Rel the champion. Just being a menace at every game that Rel has picked up.
And I think, hopefully, we've done it a few times. He's basically a bloody resident of the broadcast at this time. We're trying to get Fish on for an interview. I'd love to if we could. What a game! Like, I mean, Invicta. I don't want to like. Of course, massive props to Invicta, right? Yeah, really close second game. And some real good stuff going in that bot lane as well. But Lost Nation, what a hell of a team.
I mean, it all went down like in the first, in the second, and even in the third game. Like not so much in the second, since Invicta played around it, but it's these small fights. It's just these small 2v2s, 3v2s. It's just these small skirmishes which just end up snowballing LN into these winning positions.
And we're now joined by the one and only season MVP. Congratulations, Fish, on your on your EAL title.
Thank you.
What a standout performance, honestly. What an absolute standout performance across the series. Like I sound biased. I promise I'm not. I know some members of production part of Lost Nation. I'm not part of Lost Nation, but I'm a man. I've been watching EAL, right, for a long time. Fishdoll's always been a name I've known. Always been one of the most feared top laners in the entire season. So yeah, I got to say congratulations on making your title again.
Thank you again.
So, tons of questions. How does it feel to have another one in the trophy cabinet?
Oh, after such a long time, it feels good.
Yeah, when was the last time you won again? God.
Season 1.
Season one. That's impressive, right? Sticking around since I'm surprised you haven't won more. You're always such a permanent fixture in my mind, right? You're always such a crucial part of the ecosystem. Always, I think, just slightly being away from the top, but yeah, honestly, so incredibly deserved this time. It's been a long time since season 1, though.
It's been a couple of years now, 3 or 4.
How do you think you've grown since you joined the EAL? Do you think it's like I don't just mean it's like, oh, how have you changed since last time, right? Because at the end of the season, it's always time for reflection. How do you think you've changed as a player?
Oh well, I think I've changed for the better, definitely. Because before EAL started, I used to play on UNE, and I didn't really care about macro, that sort of stuff. I was just spamming Aatrox and doing combos, right? Yeah. And ever since I started playing EAL and like saw these higher ranked people than me, I was thinking about macro. I learned wave management when I started the EAL, so I think I got better.
Wow, that's really impressive. Really impressive. Do you have any questions, Igni?
Well, I'm just wondering, like, versing so many different top laners, like even in champion pools and even in their play styles, which one do you think gave you the most trouble in your top lane? Since you have had a very dominating series and pretty much just generally a pretty much dominating. You had a presence in every of your games, and I just want to know who gave you the most trouble.
Yeah, I'm thinking, was Boblo CEO the top laner of Triple M? I think he was, right? I think that guy gave me the most trouble together with John Foble.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, obviously John Foble. That's not cheap, but another classic name. Man, that series is so intense. You can't just keep giving us banger series back to back, man. It's unfair. But yeah, I guess final question is, what's next for you? Do you think you're gonna, if we run the AL again? I'm not sure what future plans are for Lost Nation. Are you still driven? Are you still feeling that hunger, even like 6 or 7 seasons later?
I'm always here for this. So if I'm allowed to play, I'll always play. Like my name will be here till this ends.
Hell yeah, that's exactly what I love to hear. And I think I'll stick around casting as well. I mean, obviously, renew commitments, whatever. As long as you're playing, I'm going to keep casting. But alas, I think that's all for us tonight. Unless you got any final questions, Igni. Have you got? Oh, one last question actually. Do you have any shout-outs you want to give particularly? I know I ask you this every time, but like, it's the end of the thing. It's the most important shout-out you can give here, Fish. You can choose whoever you want. Whoever you feel like you've neglected shouting out over the past 7 seasons, just go for it.
Shout out to everyone really playing, right? Everyone from LN, everyone who I used to play before. And like the special place in my heart has Chips, the Ocean. That guy is it's like my lost brother, you know.
Oh.
We have this funny thing. We said if we win EAL, we are going to UK, we are going in LN jerseys, and we are buying fish and chips.
Look, if you do that, I'll come out with you and stop by a Chippy as well. All right, but unfortunately, with that, I think it's all for us for this season. Wow, it always comes faster than you think. Wrapping up at the end, but I guess that's all there is to say. Thank you. Oh, of course. Go ahead. Production's trying to get on call here. They are. Well, they can explain themselves.
There we go. Heyo.
Hello.
Yes,
Hi.
this is me. I am alive. I am Alien Production, aka Diamond. I just heard you guys wanted LN jerseys, so I'll get you those. But I want to say thank you for everybody that tuned in. If you tuned in for every game, if you tuned in for just this last final, I guess. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for all the people that, well, were impressed, believed in that we could keep this running, since we are a pretty fucking small team. And we had a lot more to do in terms of organization. Of course, we didn't always do perfect, but we're looking to improve. And if the rest of the organization is up to it, I'll still be here. I'll still be doing production. If that's what you guys want, then this is what we do. Thank you for listening. I'll throw it back to you. The people that scream into the mic more frequently than me.
Nah, well, I guess nothing more to say than thank you so very much, everyone who's played, everyone who cast, everyone who watched, really. You're all so dear to my heart, and it's a real pleasure. Every single time, I always forget how much of a pleasure it is to cast the AL, but as long as they're going to keep being seasons, I'm going to keep remembering. So, I've been Casual Cutie.
I've been Igni, and I hope you enjoyed my stupid analytic stuff.
I always do. But that's going to be all for us for quite some time. Make sure to tune in whenever the next stream is, because my face will be on there. And I know you can't get enough of my ugly mug. Thank you so very much, everyone, for watching. We'll catch you when we catch you. EAL season over! That's the worst outro I can give. Bye! Bye.